All these guys in this room, they're here because they have the only thing that matters to me. The only thing that should matter to any of us. You know what that is, Tommy?
They're loyal.
That's right. Welcome to the family.
Welcome, everyone, to the testing room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants, who have never actually consulted on a video game, bring you new topics each and every week. As always, I'm Alex, a.k.a. the Gozfather.
I'm Christian, a.k.a. Pseudo45.
I'm Preston, a.k.a. Funkadelic Jedi.
I thought you were going to introduce yourself as Angry Soccer Fan 1, and then I was going to introduce myself as Angry Soccer Fan 2.
No, because what I don't want is that person who I went off on in chat the other day to be like, I knew it, right? Like, track me down, but...
Hey, we'll take the comments.
Yeah.
Although my social handle is definitely just my name, so they could...
There you go.
You know. But, no, I am an Angry Soccer Fan. I'm hoping this makes me not an Angry Soccer Fan, because by the time we're done with this podcast, I will have forgotten all of it.
We'll see.
Yeah.
we will see. I'm sure I'll be laying back in bed and just be like, why? But
catching highlights.
You know.
I had a, it was so funny today. I thought to myself, so I had like a nice little, we had to go run a bunch of errands today. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'll wear the limited edition, baseball soccer jersey that I got and blah, blah, blah. And I thought to myself, I said, it'll be so funny because, I was excited that I got this because it was a cool opportunity. I was like, but if anybody who knows, like, who follows the sport is just gonna walk away and go, oh, that guy's in pain, like that's a sad person.
I wear the same jersey, so like I'm very superstitious when it comes to sports, which is so stupid. And not all sports, just soccer, usually. Right? And maybe because I played it for 20 years of my life or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wear the same jersey when I go to games, and I typically wear the same like shoes and shorts as well. And like I was wearing my scarf, except we lost like 2 games in a row to kick the season off. So then I quit wearing the scarf, and we've been fine. So like I haven't been wearing the scarf this season. Anyway, long story short, I didn't go to the game today. We were watching it from home. So like I got out of the shower after doing yard work, and I go, just put on my jersey. I go, typically at home it doesn't really matter. So I didn't put on my jersey.
Lost.
And we lost. Yeah. So there's
And then
that.
you sat there and you're sitting there looking at your lawnmower, and you're like, I wonder if I could just put my head underneath it.
I know. So anyway, let's kick things off like we always do by making a stop over to Preston's comment corner.
Yeah, no comments this week, but I wanted to bring a little fun thing. I want to try to do this every month if I can. I want to talk about the game releases of this month. So that would be August of 2024. I'm going to go through these. If you want to comment on them, feel free to stop me in my tracks. But otherwise, I'm going to go through them fairly quickly. There's not a shit ton, but there's a handful. Obviously, this won't be every single game coming out. Steam has a whole bunch of shit that comes out. But this will be kind of like the
90% of them. 90% of them are sex games that we can't just list off. So
Queen Queef 27 is not something we're going to cover on here.
I want to Google it to know if it's a real game.
No, I just
but I also don't want to Google it.
All right.
Did not have time
Thank
to
you
workshop
for letting
that
me know.
You're fine. August 2024.
Okay.
Starts off with Thank Goodness You're Here. That's coming to the PC, Switch, and PS5 on the 1st. Also coming out on the 1st is Star Wars Bounty Hunter. That will be the more of a remaster. And that will be coming out on the 1st as well. Pretty much all platforms.
Everything I've read about that says almost the same thing about Jedi Survivor, where they're like, hey, it's really pretty if it doesn't get too buggy for you. It's like,
So the thing with Bounty Hunter will be, and you'll see this in all the reviews, that Bounty Hunter wasn't the greatest game when it came out. It was definitely of the time. It polishes up a little bit. It adds a flashlight in it because there were some levels that were super duper dark and were not easy to see. But as far as it's as fun as it was back then. I'm waiting for the reviews to come out to see if Aspyr completely fucks it up, because they're the ones who do the Battlefront game. So we'll see.
I love the idea of like a dash, and then it's like features, and it's like flashlight.
Yeah. Oh, hey, dude, all the reviews
Is
are like,
there-
the additions are cleared up graphics. You get to play as a Boba Fett skin if you want, and a flashlight.
Yeah.
Is there danger of there being any confusion between this game and then the Bounty Hunters game coming out later this year?
Is there a
Are people gonna
Bounty
get
Hunters
confused with
game
that?
coming out later this year?
Isn't that the name of the Star Wars game
Outlaws.
with the chick?
No.
Outlaws.
She plays. She's a
that's
scoundrel. She's not a bounty
right.
hunter.
Okay,
We'll
my
talk about
bad.
that later. Yeah. Either way.
You fucking idiot.
Fake fan over here. All right.
Yeah.
Mortuary Assistant Definitive Edition is coming to the consoles on the 2nd. We actually
What
watched
can that
Christian play a
game
little bit
possibly
of that.
add?
They've
It's on
added a ton of
consoles.
stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty much the- but yeah.
There's random scenarios and other things. It was not finished when we did our playthrough
No.
of it.
But it was fun to watch. We had some fun little
sure.
jumps and stuff.
That's the whole
like,
point
I
of it.
Yeah,
enjoyed
it
it.
was, it was
People want to love streaming
It
on
was
Twitch.
just-
Yeah.
It's just funny to be like that. Like one person made game has like its definitive editions.
Oh, right.
Like,
Yeah.
all right.
yeah.
No, it's console edition. Just call it console edition. That's what
Yeah.
it is. Creatures of Ava coming to PC and the Xbox consoles on the 7th. Cat Quest 3, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Ooh.
Shout out to Alex.
Do you love
for his
that?
I'll
easy
play the hell.
platinums.
I got 1 and 2 done. I'll play the hell out of
There
that
you
game.
go. Play yourself some Pirates of the Caribbean. I do like the name.
Yeah.
It's very, very catchy. That's coming to everything
It's
on the
cute.
8th.
I don't know why you're hating on that, Christian.
Because I just remember back when you had the sickness and you were like, you would have never, ever, ever touched those games had you not, one, had the random thing that you had to do with it, but also, if you
I had
weren't
to
searching-
do a work thing for it, which is why I was
Yeah.
introduced to it to begin with. Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
if you weren't searching for platinums, it would have never even popped up on your radar.
So I only got platinum on 2 because I had to do the work thing for it, and it was like
Yeah.
iPad is not the place to play this. Is it anywhere else? And you're right. I was like going on platinum runs with stuff, and I found it on PlayStation. I never got a platinum for 1 though because I played that on like Switch or something. But I did 100%
Sure.
it, and I do have a list in GG for platinumed games and 100% completed games, just in case anybody ever needs to know.
In case you wanna
I
find
have
out.
that total number.
What's the number after your Godfather if they want to look you up on that? 17?
Oh, on
GG.
PlayStation, I'm the Godfather 2 or 3. Oh, I'll have to look.
Yeah.
I think
I noticed
it's
that you
the Godfather
added another
something.
number to that one too because I know you do that thing.
No,
It's probably-
we're
it's
gonna-
probably-
yeah.
I like that
It's probably
idea.
4.
That's a good idea.
It's probably 4 because I go up each
Up,
on
yeah,
every
yeah,
console.
that's
It's
what I
probably Godfather 4. But my total platinums on PlayStation alone, I think I was either up to 51 or 61.
Jesus.
I forget.
No,
which one.
it's 57, and
Is
that what it
I
is
have
right
50,
now?
and I have 54. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, continuing on, Steam World Heist 2 comes out on all platforms August 8th. I hear good things about that.
Kind of wish it would have gotten some more points in our fantasy league, but it's cool. I'm not bitter about it.
And then I have to look into this a little bit more. This one's called The Crush House. It's coming out on PC. When I highlighted it,
That's a sex game.
I saw it. Like, when I highlighted it, Eurogamer like puts like Eurogamer.net and goes to the actual game. The Crush House is a first-person shooter.
I
like
was
that.
jokingly
I
saying
like
that's
that.
a sex game, but I am not wrong. So.
Yeah, about reality TV production, I'm not going to care. I hate reality TV. But I did like that little first person. I thought that was catchy. That was very creative.
Oh, it is. It's not as bad as you think it is.
No, it's
I
not.
just Googled
Yeah,
it.
it's not.
It's
It's a reality show
it's-
fucking thing.
oh, it's goofy. You know who this looks like it's made by? Have any of you guys seen that? I'm gonna get it wrong, and I don't want to sound really weird here, but there's a party game, but it's where you're like penises, like you're like, you know what I'm talking about? I forget
Yes,
the name
yeah.
of that, which looks ridiculous. That's
Joust.
the kind of Joust.
I think it's
that's
Joust or
the-
something like that. Yeah.
That's the artwork that the Crush House has. So
Really?
it looks like it's almost made by the same people. I don't know that it is. It's a Devolver game, but
Well, that
yes,
would line up.
It does look like that
Okay.
that game, that party game.
Sam & Max: The Devil's Playground is getting remastered and coming to consoles and PC on August 14th. That's very interesting. I'd like to kind of take a look at that maybe one day. Kena Bridge of Spirits is coming to the Xbox consoles on the 15th. Good game. If you have Game Pass and it's coming to that, 100% check it out for sure. Black Myth Wukong is coming out on the 20th, PS5 and PC only.
That I forgot. That I forgot was coming out, and that I'm
It's gonna
actually
be a big
excited
one.
about.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. Dustborn.
I'm excited to see how people think about that.
Yeah, Dustborn is coming
I'm
out.
excited about that.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Preston. I was gonna say, I'm excited about that because, like, according to everything, it's not an original story. They're literally doing like
Journey to the West.
They're doing
what
the
do they
Monkey
call
King.
it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Odyssey
they're doing
of the
Monkey
West.
like Odyssey of the West, right?
Honestly,
That's exciting. So if they just follow that,
It's not. It's a take on that. They're like because every single time it's not like the exact
Change it.
story.
Sure.
But it's yeah.
I want it. I know we're in this weird spot with games right now where everything wants to be Souls-y like. I want it to be more of an action-y game, and I think I'll have a lot of fun with the mythology.
So that's
of
the
it
thing
if
is
it's
that
more
I've
action.
seen people say, and I will wait for it to come out because I don't want to get my excitement too high. But it sounds like what people are saying is that it is definitely it leans closer to a Devil May Cry
that would
kind
be
of
cool.
action, and I was like, bro, you give me the Monkey King with
Yeah.
sick combos. Don't even talk to me. I'm here.
Yep.
But we'll see.
all right. Dustborn is coming out on August 20th. And then we got Concord finally comes out on 23rd, which will be an
Ugh,
Overwatch shooter
just-
that no one gives a shit about.
That's what that is.
And then we'll have the World of Warcraft, The War Within. Get that expansion on the 26th of August.
Man, that is going to be a really fun thing to watch for me
That team
because
unionized.
they have their
Christian and I always do. Whenever the expansions come out or the raid,
A little bit of
Things
an
are
itch.
going
yeah.
on,
Whenever
we
the
watch
world
it.
first raid is, I always watch it because I want to know. But the expansion release is going to be the fun one to watch because the pre-patch event that they've done has been their worst received
Oh, shit.
pre-patch event
Okay.
ever. Like, if you go on Twitch, right, you click on the category and just click on any single person, it. What I saw was everybody being like, "Yeah, this event's trash." Like, I don't know why they need to be better about this. This is the worst one they've ever done. Everybody that first day that it launched had their category set to, World of Warcraft and blah blah blah, and they're playing it. And then maybe 3 hours in, I look over and some person that was streaming it was like, "All right, guys, I'm done here, and I don't want. I'll come back once the clock resets, basically for me to be able to do the event again. So until then, let's play The Sims." And they booted up The Sims.
so,
And I was like, man, that's
Yeah.
but correct me if I'm
That's
wrong
the
here.
look.
Don't they have a lot of good? They're running on a lot of good faith right now because that OG writer is back, and this will be the first expansion under him, who's supposed to fix their game.
no.
apparently,
This will be the
right?
first. This will be the first expansion that, yes and no. He came in the middle of this expansion's development, so this is going to be the first one where he's like,
Partial.
it's
Try to tie
think about,
it together.
Think about
tie
what
it up
you
to
when
whatever
you,
he wants to do.
when you guys were excited about somebody taking over the DCU, whoever that was, right? But you
James
were
Gunn.
like, the Flash is, or not the Flash. It's whatever DC movie just recently came out. You guys were like, this is the first one where he was involved partially. They're just trying to angle it towards.
I think
what he
Aquaman
wants.
was like that one in production where they're just like, "That's fine, do what you want
Yeah,
to
just
do,"
do
and
it,
then
whatever.
everything new.
Yeah.
Will be
Yeah,
under-
yeah. They were like,
Okay.
hey, this is not us, but it's already here. So, to my knowledge,
So
this
you'll
is
you'll
one
probably
where
see his influence. You'll probably see his influence at the end of it then to tie into whatever he's going to do next.
That's or maybe through the patching, maybe through the patch
Mm-hmm.
quests, maybe. That's what I would assume. But who knows? Maybe he was like, "Fuck you guys, we're starting this shit over." I have no idea. So we'll find out when it comes out. But
All right. Visions of Mana comes out on August 29th. I know that looks really good.
Man.
I'm hoping it gives me some points. I think I got my
We'll
lead,
see,
so we'll
'cause-
see if it gets me some points.
everybody
People
from
yeah.
have hated it.
Really? Fuck me to tears.
Yeah.
It has been. It is one of the examples of something that on paper, like if you're just looking at a
Good idea.
screenshot and you're looking at everybody was so excited. Of
course.
And then this developer, the way they executed it, everyone was like, it was like if somebody just told you about Trials of Mana and then you went to go make a game off that, like through a game of telephone or something. It's nothing like any of those. Like people are.
And The last Trials of Mana game like introduced that series to a lot of people that didn't know it, like myself included. I haven't played it, but I followed along with it because that game was so well received, and it was like the remake of the game that came out 30 years ago. People don't love this one right now, so.
All right, next up, Gundam Breaker 4 comes out. That's on August 29th. I just get disappointed every time I see a Gundam game because it's not going to be supported very well if it has anything to do with like, you know, longevity or any type of updates, because Gundam games always just die off if they have any type of longevity. And I'm not going to hold my breath and hoping this is a great like single player experience. So we have, you know, Armored Core out there you could play, and then I've been seeing a lot of videos from Mecha Breaker, and that just looks fantastic. So Gundam is always just kind of in the forefront of my head.
I got the beta key for that. I'm going to try that soon.
I'm curious.
What does Gundam need? Do you think they need like a bigger developer, like that just cares more?
You
like
know how,
somebody
you know,
that could just come in and be like, "I love this story. Let me write it."
You know,
and just...
yeah. You know how ArcSys. Anytime that Preston and I get excited about ArcSys getting the license for a fighter because we know it'll be a good one. Like if ArcSys was to get like the My Hero license to make a fighter, Preston and I would be like, "Oh, dude, this is going to be the best," because they know what they're doing and they'll treat it with care. That's what Gundam needs.
No
Gundam
one
needs
ever
just
treats it
a
with
developer.
care. People do it and they sell these games
Yeah,
because
honestly,
of the name. That's all it is.
Let the team that did Armored Core 6 let them make a Gundam.
No shit. Yeah, 1000%. I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Monster Jam Showdown is coming out on August 29th. I don't think anyone here cares. Shadow of the Ninja Reborn comes out August 29th. Never heard of that one either. And then we have, lastly, Star Wars Outlaws comes out on August 30th. I'm actually excited about this one. At first, I was very hesitant, but all of the preliminary people going out and seeing it firsthand, they're like, actually, it's a good game. Actually done pretty well. Like everyone's going in with a very low bar, but they're coming out going, this is actually a decent game. So my expectations have risen a little bit on that one.
Who's making that? Is it
Ubisoft.
Ubi or is it EA?
That's Ubi.
Ubi. Mm-hmm. Do you think this might be the first game we see some sort of like bullshit ads at the menu? Because Ubi wants to beat EA to the punch, and EA said they want to add ads. Like I feel like
I don't think you do it with your Star Wars game.
I think you do. If you look at the history of Star Wars,
put it that way.
I don't think Disney has. I really think Ubi has a lot of good faith going into this game for some reason, and anytime they have good faith is the moment they pull the rug out from under themselves.
People are coming in.
I do think they're going to try some sort of weird microtransaction thing or something worse than just their Helix account and Helix coins. I think they're going to try something in this game.
Oh, I mean, if you see how they're selling it right now, you got the base game, but then they have $100 and something ones, which you get to play it 3 days early, and you get some fucking skins. I'm like, I don't. Who the fuck is paying for this?
Here's
120.
Here's what I'll tell you. Here's what I'll tell you, Alex, and here's why you don't have to worry. I'm torn. I would love for this game to bomb because I counterpicked it in the fantasy league. I hope that there's a Jersey Mike's fucking sub ad right in the beginning before you press start. It'd be great. Because I counterpicked it, that won't happen. This will be the highest rated Star Wars thing in the last 10 years. And on that side, the reason I'm torn is because I would love for Preston to have a very nice Star Wars product this year. And I will help that. I will make that happen by counterpicking this game. Okay. So it will be the best thing they've ever done.
Appreciate your effort.
We had a good Star Wars game last year, minus its
Dark Forces
bugginess.
Remastered is good for what it is, but yeah, it's
no. I'm talking about Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor I liked, but it is just a fucking train wreck on PC. That's the only problem.
It was a dumpster fire when it launched, though. Not saying the game is bad, but it was held together with
almost unplayable
twine and bubble gum. It was.
It's just. It's hard for me. There's certain studios. It's unfortunate that Star Wars gets stuck with these studios that they're with, right? Because there's certain studios you just don't want to see succeed. That aren't the good guys.
EA
that aren't doing
had the license for the longest time, and you're now I would like to see someone else besides EA make a Star Wars game, for sure.
And now you're
not Ubisoft though.
Another rich guy.
You just went the wrong way on that one, you guys. I wanted you to not go Ubisoft anywhere but there.
I know.
But hey, apparently it's not going to be horrible. So we'll see with that, and then the David Cage game will come out next.
People are already super. The internet's going to internet. So it's gonna get bombed when it first comes out.
Sure.
Because the woman looks not sexy enough. According
It's
to
the
internet,
Aloy
right?
issue, yeah.
Yeah, but they
Aloy
don't.
issue.
But those people don't control review scores, right? So you don't have to worry. Like even if it gets review bombed on Steam, who gives a fuck? But if critics like it, then it'll at least maintain its high score.
I think Star Wars fans, if it's a genuinely good Star Wars game, I think Star Wars fans out there will be more than happy to like help the review.
Nope.
Yeah.
No.
Hey,
You.
good guy Preston over here is just hoping. All right.
No. Normal people like you, yes, but that's because you are coming at it from a perspective of a person with a normal brain, and two, you're just a genuine Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
There are plenty of Star Wars fans, like the ones that made that random actress get ready to kill herself. That is no, they will not be kind.
That's fair.
No,
You're not wrong.
but
And then you also have apathetic Star Wars fans like me who I like Star Wars and I would love to have a good game, but even if it got review bombed or not, I don't care enough to go write a counter review. So,
Fair enough. All right. Yeah, that's all the games coming out in August. Get ready.
nice.
I'm excited. I'm actually excited about Black Myth, and it's
Wukong.
funny because, a week or so ago I saw that and I saw the date and I was like, oh, like,
Yeah.
I feel like that game's been talked about for over. It has been for over a year, and I'm like, it's never going to come. It'll be delayed.
It'll be interesting to see if this one comes out to high reviews, because there's a lot of games that got revealed around that time that are from Chinese studios that
Yeah.
have they've not
what's the
done
one-
well.
What was the one?
The Monster Hunter one?
Fan servicey one. No, the fan servicey one. The
Stellar
sci-fi.
Blade.
Yeah,
No, so
that one was one. Yeah.
Yeah, there's been some others too. Like I said, we'll see. It's they. I hope that it does well.
I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, so Christian can make fun of me now. There is still something about Stellar Blade that makes me want to play it.
Sure.
So I'm sure before
tried
the
it
end of
out.
the year, you will have seen me play it, and
Oh, I don't.
it'll
think
be.
I'd make fun
It'll
of you.
be.
Dude. To my
If I
knowledge-
do,
demo.
it'll be on. If I do, it'll be on Steam, so we can all try it out. We'll see.
The demo
yeah,
should
you
be
don't
out
have
there.
to. Yeah, I think the demo is out there, but yeah, it's to my knowledge, it's just a lamer version of Nier Automata. So, I mean,
Yeah.
Give some jiggles though.
I would make fun of you. Yeah, there's.
I guess
yeah,
Nier
it's
Automata kind of had that too. Like,
Nier Automata
no.
definitely has that.
well,
No,
it's
no,
not
no.
maybe not
No,
jiggles,
no, no.
but like booty. They got
Yes,
the booty.
that's what I'm saying. I'm
Okay.
not. Do not. No. Nier Automata
get it
definitely
twisted.
has. Is Yoko Taro is a fucking freak. They
One of the costumes is just lingerie you can run around in. So
yeah, it has fancer, but it does not jiggle physics.
to be fair, you have to believe that if Yoko Taro is planning another game, he will look at Stellar Blade and go, "Well,
No,
clearly
no,
I can do the jiggle now too."
No, Yoko Taro is very specific in his freakness, which is why all of his characters in his games are designed the way they are. Even across like the Drakengard series and everything. No, he's. If there's one thing that man is focused on, it's his kinks. So it would have already happened. I promise you. There was nothing stopping him before.
The Quentin
It's-
Tarantino of video games.
You know,
It's not far off.
it's probably not far off.
Yeah. The only difference is,
I mean,
I think he's yeah. I would actually say that's fair. I was gonna say he's more eccentric, but he is Japanese, so like the mask makes sense, right? Like
he
always
came
wearing
out
that
with a
weird
fucking
mask.
crazy moon mask. Yeah. No, I think you're probably not far off. I think
Yeah.
the nice thing about Yoko Taro is that when it comes to his writing and the people that he has around for his writing, he tells incredibly well thought out, in-depth stories that are incredible. It's just that he also is horny. Like,
And the good thing is he's in video games, which means like he can't pay actresses to let them have him lick her feet, right? Like Quentin Tarantino did in From Dusk Till Dawn. It's
Yeah.
there's a different sort of like power dynamics when you're actually a director putting yourself
Every
in
one
a
of his
movie
movies, you can point
than
out
directing
where
a
Yeah,
it
you
video.
know, now that I'm thinking on it, I'd like to not make that comparison anymore. Yeah,
I just don't want to talk
Yeah.
about Quentin at all anymore. It's fine.
Yeah, there are things I like Quentin Tarantino movies. I don't like
Sure.
everything, but I like a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies.
Good one.
But there are things when you
Kill
see him
Bill
in
goes hard.
interviews. There are things you see him in interviews and like
He's a weirdo.
the way he writes his scripts. Not only is he a weirdo, but he gets by with a lot. Like he writes his
Oh.
scripts with a lot of N-words.
Sure,
And I'm like,
yeah.
dude, you're very white. I'm not sure you should be able to get by with all of this. I don't know why you do.
We're letting
but
him get by with it, so
I don't.
Can I, my hot take about Quentin Tarantino? My
Yeah.
hot take about Quentin Tarantino is that he is the only time in history that I have a black friend has worked.
And it's because it's Samuel L. Jackson. If it was anybody else, it would not work. You are very right.
Yeah.
You're very right. That's hilarious. It's funny. It's not funny. One day, Quentin Tarantino will come out with like some huge scandal, and everybody's gonna go, "Well, he's been telling us for 25 years in movies," and we're gonna go, "Yeah, that tracks.
just waiting
That's
for the
on
little
us.
shoe to drop. Yeah.
That's
Oh, dude!
Yep.
I mean, it's like
Yep.
yeah,
That's
he'll be
all-
like-
that's on us.
It'll be like R. Kelly, where everybody was like shocked that he had underage women
look
chained
back.
up somewhere, and it was
Yeah.
like him and Aaliyah literally made a song, "Age Just a Number," when she was 15.
yeah.
Where were all of you then? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what's gonna happen with him. A shoe will drop. Anyway, all right.
This podcast has already gotten away from us.
Yeah. Anything else, Preston?
Nope, that'd be it.
Okay. I will kick off our week because there's something I forgot to talk about last week that I want to talk about this week. So I'll start off with the games that I played. I've really only played 2, which is Final Fantasy. I'm not going to dive into. And then Like a Dragon. And I thought, like, boy, am I making progress. I got to, like, Chapter 10. And then, like, in Chapter 10, they go, hey... Actually, in Chapter 8 or 9, they're like, hey, we're going to split up these characters, and one's going to go back to Japan, and one's going to stay here in Hawaii. And you're like, oh, cool, no big deal. And they go, oh, now that this new character's in Japan, what if we gave you 400 extra things to
'Cause
do
you're in
with
a new place.
just this
To
character?
be fair, you only have 4 chapters left. You are close.
Yeah, I get it. And, like, I'm not complaining because it's on me, too. But, like, I did all the side stuff. And then, like, with the new group that you have new drink links and conversations. I ran around and got all the conversations before I moved on. I got stuck for an hour and a half playing this stupid game called Spike Out, which is from the creator of Like a Dragon. And it's one of the arcade games that, like,
Yeah.
he put the whole game in there. Which, by the way, not a great game. Very dated. But I got stuck playing it for an hour and a half because that's how long it took me to beat all 5 levels. And then I come out of it and it's like time to record and I go, oh, well, I've done nothing in this game
Yeah.
today. But it continues to be great, is all I'll say. The only other game that I played, minus what we're going to talk about tonight, is one that I meant to talk about last week and I forgot. And that was Angerfoot.
Oh, I've been thinking about playing this game. I like the trailers.
Yeah. It is not for me.
Fair enough.
I
hear it's
bought
first
and
person
returned it.
Hotline Miami.
I bought and returned it. So first person, I didn't play Hotline Miami that much.
Okay.
I haven't like played it. So that's on me. My problem stems from what I saw in the trailer versus what I got in the game. So like the trailer, and I'll explain without giving too many spoilers. In the trailer, it's kind of funny. You get this like dude with a shoe that's really angry, just kicking through dudes in hallways and rooms, right? And like it's to the beat of some music. So like even when you die, you got the guys like twerking on you and other stuff. And on the surface, you're like, that's hilarious. Like
Yep.
even when I die, it's funny. It keeps me going. And then the game starts, and it goes, "Welcome to Shit City."
And then I have to play the game.
And I was like, well, that's on the nose. And then you have this guy who's all about his shoe collection, and you early on get a pair of shoes that completes your collection. This is how the game goes. So you walk into the apartment, and your girlfriend, who is like blue or purple, but clearly supposed to be a certain type of person, is wearing like a tank top, and she has a bong in her hand. No, I'm sorry. She has a vape in her hand and a bong on the table. And she's like, "Oh, you got your pair of shoes. Like, I'm so excited. Your collection's all done." And, like, she doesn't work, and she makes that known, and then you go into your room and you put your shoes on there, and then very quickly your shoes get stolen for no reason.
plot
And now the
point.
game is like, I gotta get my shoes back. But then you get to, like, the apartments, and that's the first whole section. And everybody in the apartments, every room you run into is like a dude in a tank top, or like, as they're, we used to be called in the bidet, like wife beaters with like gold teeth. And some dudes are just like on the toilet shooting at you, and they just pixel things out, and there's bongs everywhere. And it's like, it's not clever funny. It's just over the top, in your face, like, hey guys, isn't this funny? Like, ha ha ha. And I didn't even get to the gang that's literally called the Hedonist Gang. I saw them. You can guess it's a lot of rubber and chains and, like, nipple piercings, right? And it's just like, I'm fine with, like, clever humor, and I'm fine with dick and fart jokes if they're truly funny. But when you're just, like, slamming me over the head with it because, like, your writing's not very good and you're like, I need to keep you involved, I don't have the brain power for it. Like, I don't know. So, like,
or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof is really the thing, right? So, like, the gameplay itself started out kind of fun. Like, the loop isn't bad. The very just as quick as you can, you're taking people out. They give you challenges in each one, so you can get a star rating of, like, 1, 2, and 3 stars. The problem is the challenges go against the game. So, like, the whole game is as quick as you can, and then the challenge is, like, get 15 headshots. But, like, in that level, you only have one gun with 15 shots, so now everything has to be slow. Because I have to pop off these headshots to, like, get a star. Or it'll be, like, instead of kicking, it'll be, like, only kill people by throwing a weapon at them or something. So, like, I know you don't have to do that, but to me, the whole premise now feels very mobile game-like, right? Like, mobile games have to keep you in that loop by giving you weird challenges. Like, every level, you got to get the 3 stars, otherwise, what are you doing? Like, that's the replay value, and that's what this replay value is. But it goes against the whole premise of the game, which is fast run and gun.
Now, I will say, there is some... With it being kind of... It is compared to Hotline Miami a lot. I think there's one thing where Hotline Miami... And it shows because the second one wasn't as well received as the first one. It just, like... It's very hard to thread that needle of, like, keeping people with that tone. You know what I mean? Like, whether or not people like it. I will say, for some of the challenges and stuff, that is par for the course on a lot of those games. And it just depends on how and when you attack them. Like in Angerfoot's case, I know with the headshot one, like there was a lot of people that were complaining about that one early on, but then there's like, people are like, oh, well, if you just play through the game like normal, there's a set of shoes that you unlock that makes everybody's heads twice the size of their body. So you put those shoes on, and then all of a sudden that challenge becomes very easy because their heads are clipping through walls, like, because it's goofy, right? And you just do it. That's not excusing it or excusing your feelings on it one way or the other.
And that's why I said to begin with, like, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
it's hard to nail that tone sometimes without...
Yeah.
It's why Hotline Miami was such a hit, is because it's one of the rare games that,
nail the tone of. Yeah.
That
nails
pull it
the
off.
tone of. Yeah.
So that was my kind of problem. Like, you could have named that city a billion different things. You didn't have to, like, when you just name it, like, Shit City, it's almost like somebody is pointing at a sign, like, please laugh. Like, please, laugh now, please, right? And it's just like, I get it, right? So, I don't know. Try it. You have the 2 hour... The great thing about Steam, you have a 2 hour window. I played it for like an hour and a half. I gave it a college try. I was like, it's not for me. Yeah. Played it over an entire flight, and it never hit. So, there's that. But I forgot to talk about that last week, because I did buy it, and then I returned it, and it left my brain forever. Yeah. So, which is disappointing, because the trailer made it look funny, and then when we saw it back in the, like, even when I watched it on Steam, I was like, this looks clever. Like, I can get into this. The writing's just not good.
It's a bummer.
Not good. Yeah. So that's it. That's my week. It's very easy. And then, of course, what we're going to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have anything too much to add either. I'm still playing Trails. It's still good.
You've been
It's
playing a
funny-
new game. At least I see it on Steam pop up every once in a while.
What is it?
Dune?
Oh, I played it once, but I played Dune. Preston and I had talked about that before. We played Dune Imperium
Oh,
before.
yeah.
It's the board game.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's just before we were playing it through Tabletop Simulator, and now they have like a full digital version of the game.
I thought it was like a different like RTS or something.
No. It's just the board game. It's still very good. I mean, that board game's incredible. Like I don't. Hey, that's not me like dismissing it. It's just I already played it before. But yeah, the only thing is that Preston and I hopped in and did a round of Helldivers 2, which was fun.
Jump into that.
blah,
It
blah,
pops
blah.
up like 15 mission completes because we haven't played it for like months. So the missions we
you
did
know
touch
what?
on, it was like, hey, we completed it. So it's like credits.
There was thing that we did finish that I don't think we talked about, which was we finished the campaign for Destiny 2. And thank God we did, because it seems like that game's literally going to shut down.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I think I saw, don't quote me on this because I don't know if it's true or not, but I think I saw a story saying that now their seasonal like they're done.
Yeah,
like
it's just
that
upkeep
their
at this
seasonal
point.
model is done, and they're going to start doing smaller sort of episodic stuff. There will be no more expansions, anything like that. Like
They said they're whittling the team down to around 30.
yeah,
30.
can I just say, man, it's a massive bummer. Like I don't know how it ends because we have to go do the raid, which friend of the show, Bombus, really wants to get scheduled before this all explodes. But it is such a bummer that you can feel like when you pick it up, like it's like when we went back to Witch Queen and people were talking about Witch Queen really well, and we were like, you know what, hey, fair enough, Witch Queen's actually pretty good. Like we played it and we had a good time with it. We were like, that was good. Yep. Like no, there's things that I wish could have been better, or things I would have done differently, but in general I think it was a good time, right? This is one of the only times outside of like I think maybe the fucking Taken King where I can think. And this is, by the way, this is rated higher than that. It's rated higher than anything they've ever done between Destiny 1 and 2, like across everything. And you can feel it. It is, and now looking back on it, it's way more sad when I think about my playthrough of it, because you can feel that it was basically everybody in Destiny being like, this is our last time working on this game. They knew.
Yeah.
There's no way they didn't know. Not in a bad way, but like I think everybody in that room could have probably felt it, and probably because Sony threatened them and said, "Hey, if this goes bad, we're going to lay off."
I think they laid off a
bunch of
handful of
studio."
people last year towards the end, and then
Which
this is
they
even more
they
now.
did it anyway, but they said that they were going to completely absorb Bungie, and Bungie was
Some
not going to be
people are
able
going
to
into
keep its.
SIE or SOE, and then
Well, this was the story that I'm referencing was the one that they said if this new expansion did poorly, Bungie was not going to be able to keep its independence anymore, and it was just going to get completely absorbed. It did well, and so now it's like, but so now you get to keep your independence, but we're still going to gut you.
You want to know? So I sent that article, right? Like shared it over about that stuff, and after reading it, like it was so disappointing to me. I still haven't decided where I land on this, but I thought about just telling you guys like I don't want to play it. Like I want to watch you all do the raid because I want to experience that raid.
Yeah, which is fair.
But I don't know that I want to put the time into going through the story and getting my character raid ready for what I know they're leading to. Right? Like,
do you want to pay $50 for a
It
game
sucks.
that's gonna not have anything put towards
right?
it?
Like I think I would rather just watch you all do the raid when it comes time to do it.
It's fair.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's nuts. It's so crazy. It's just sad.
Bummer.
It was a game that had such potential, and then to watch it finally crest the hill, and no one's mad about it. Like, you look across, the community was stoked, critics were stoked, it was the first time that anything has ever been united front as far as that game is concerned, and Sony was like, "Kill yourself." Like, it's
What
just,
are they? Isn't that Overwatch shooter from Sony? Who didn't they announce another game?
Concord or what, I don't know.
Marathon is what
Concord
you're
Sony?
thinking from Bungie.
That's what it
Oh,
is.
I don't know.
say-
That's a hero shooter though.
No, it's not. But
Okay.
it's gonna be it's just extraction shooter.
Yeah.
It's an extra. So, but that's what they said they're looking to move people over to, and it's like that's okay. But you
No.
see Sony's influence there because Sony is going to monetize the hell out of that
And
game,
like a Concord
Sure.
or, yeah.
and
The thing is
that's
that
going
I
to be
don't
it.
give a fuck. Like, the thing is I look, even if Marathon's great, which I don't know that it will be, but that it doesn't. It wouldn't make sense to me that one game has to die
Right.
for another game to be successful. Like, it's just
I
that's ridiculous to me. Like,
No, but that's what you see Sony doing. Like, they're going to look at a shooter, something different than this live service game, but that
Yeah.
they can just monetize the hell out of, and then go the way of season passes and battle passes and everything
like,
else. And
imagine
that's-
imagine other companies doing that shit. Imagine Square Enix looking at the rest of the world and being like, "Hey, we're going to cancel all active work on FF14 because we want FF16 to be good." And
Yeah.
everybody would be like, "What the fuck?" Like, it doesn't
hire more people. That's what you do. You hire
Yeah, I don't
devs to work on
care.
another
No,
game.
why?
They hired
That
too
doesn't
many
make
people
any
the past
sense.
couple of years, and that's the issue now.
Well, no, the issue is Sony.
Well, the issue is Sony, but Sony hired too many people and put too much money into shit, and find out they can't make it back.
They also bought they also
You
bought a
can't-
studio. They
I
bought
don't-
they bought a studio
help their live
to try to
service.
combat a problem that they weren't ready to solve. Like, Sony bought Bungie because there was this giant arms race between them and Microsoft
Yep.
to acquire studios to make games, and Sony made a bad purchase because, not saying that Bungie's a bad studio, but Bungie was not what they needed at that time. But Sony really wants, you can tell by every single game they have releasing coming forward, they want a massive multiplayer game. They need one. And they want one that they can use to completely have something be on their own, and they can control all of the money coming from it. And you know that because of what they tried to do with Helldivers 2. And the only reason that they had to roll that back was because the community was so against it that they completely went scorched earth on that game, and nobody, it was a whole thing. But
Here's why I'll push back against Preston too, with what you said they hired too many people. I don't agree with that. Like, I know people are concerned about a possible gaming bubble and how do we make money if things are constricting and whatnot. Sony posted a $26.9 billion revenue last year, which beat their own forecast. So Sony's not in danger currently of losing a ton of money. But, like, this is just the world we live in gaming, which is horseshit, where you hire a bunch of contractors and you say, work on this for me. Oh, thanks, goodbye. Not even thanks. Like, oh, your work is done.
It's not even contractors.
Goodbye.
They just say
And-
goodbye to the studios that they fucking have them make a game for them, and then say, okay, cool.
and they
bye,
do.
goodbye.
But, like, you haven't had enough flops, or you haven't had a decrease in sales or anything to actually justify
We all
you shutting
seen
down an entire team of a
The
successful
past
game.
year,
So,
that does not matter.
but that's why I push back to say they hired too many people. It's not that they hired too many people.
Expectations
It's
are
just
shitty, is what it is.
Tech companies are being real shitty right now to employees.
but-
Hard stop.
yeah, but and also Sony is focused on the wrong things and made a bad purchase. Like, and now they're like, the problem is that even though this new expansion for Destiny did great and everybody was happy and loved it, the problem is that there is no way to price gouge the players of that game in a way that Sony is wanting, because they want loot box money. They want FIFA and all the other sports games, 2K. That's what they want. And so, like, the reason I guarantee you, if you look at the microtransactions for
You should-
Concord,
Yeah.
Concord probably has the most aggressive, disgusting microtransactions.
Pretty sure GT
And-
Gran Turismo got pushed back on for like what their monetization kind of thing was looking like.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, we'll back up. Please don't stop buying Gran Turismo.
It's what happened with Helldivers 2, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. Sony's desperate. They want to find something that they can gouge people for, and when they find it, that's why everybody's getting. They want Marathon to be that. They're going to push is the next fucking game from Bungie and blah blah blah. And remember, Marathon was the craziest thing before Halo, and it's finally coming back. And it's this world and blah 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 blah.
That's
Yeah,
why
it's gonna
when
be a
you,
whole
when
thing,
you said
and-
earlier, Preston, you were like, Black Myth comes out on PlayStation and PC. It's like, all I needed to hear is PC.
I know.
I'm
I
not.
know. They're too afraid to go just console only now, so they know they need the PC money.
Yeah, because they've turned off so many people with the microtransactions.
Well, and Sony, I think the reason that studio specifically isn't owned by Sony, but I think Sony,
It's not.
They bought console exclusivity rights, and to that studio, that was probably a deal that you're not going to want to pass up anyway. So who cares? But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a bummer. Anyway, so yes, we played that. We beat that. My thoughts on that campaign are it was good.
Art direction fantastic. Everything we said last time, and then the finale of it is kind of not lame or upsetting that you have to play the raid and beat the raid to get the full ending of the story. But Destiny's always been about like you play all the content and then you and your friends team up and to finish that raid. It's like the big boss of the game essentially.
They usually don't go this hard on the cliffhanger aspect of it, but with it being the it's the final thing, it makes sense that it goes there. And you could easily just look up the raid if you weren't that just to get the story if you wanted to. That being said, where at least like everything about the art design and weapons and the powers and how everything feeds together and the encounter design, everything like that it's the best it's ever been. Yeah. It was such a fun time playing through it.
If I could have an art book of that game, I would have an art book of that game because like from different expansions have hit with me in that game, but like anything dealing with the Hive, Taken King, Witch Queen, and stuff like where they put you in space, like the worlds they build, the sky boxes they create for these games are absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
Those
and it's,
teleporting
like I
across
said,
the worlds.
this is on a whole other level. They really fucking went for it. Like it's great. There was so many times where Preston and I were playing. We were playing by ourselves because Bum was going to get on, and we were like, man, we were having to be like real tactical about it, like because we were playing on legendary difficulty, and. Yeah, like you're just going through, like we're calling things out, getting stuff done. Like it was going, but it just was rolling.
Like raid level of like puzzle shooter kind of shit.
Yeah, and it was cool. Like you just when you got done with an encounter, everybody was like, "Woo!" Like it was.
I remember one night we were playing like the last encounter, and it was like I got to a certain point, like, guys, I gotta drop off for tonight. I'm just not feeling it. We played it like the next day, finished it like in 2 shots.
First time.
Yeah, 1 or 2. Yeah, first time. Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, other than that, I've been playing that. Trails remains, like I said, it remains good. This one might, outside of the first series, the Sky series, this one might have my favorite protagonist.
Okay.
It's funny because this is the first game that they've clearly, like the Cold Steel series was the weak point in the series for me because it was really trying to be like Persona. And so you can tell that there's parts of this game where the writer, Kondo, the creator of the series, like you can tell that he can't let it go. And so there's moments where like they really, really want to be, like it really wants to be like...
With like the social links?
No, more like the teenage sort of writing, like the writing around it, like having these like you just sort of Persona-esque problems that it's trying to talk, you know what I mean? And it's so funny because the protagonist, it feels like, is actively fighting against that style, and like it feels like it's 2 people, and obviously it's written by more than just one person, but it feels like there's people arguing in the middle of this story, and one side is very much winning, which is good. But there's like moments where there'll be some person who will. It's very clearly like, you know, like in Persona, where if somebody like when Ryuji's being weird and they're like, "Oh, Ryuji, you perv," blah blah blah. And it's like this weird sort of interaction, and you're like, all right, this is two 16-year-olds talking, I guess.
Yeah.
Right on. And in this game, like, the protagonist is not to go too far into it, because I know I get too deep with Trail sometimes, but he's basically a 24-year-old like private detective, basically, who owns his own sort of business, and went off on his own because there's jobs that need to get done in the world that can't deal with cops and can't deal with bracers, and so he's able to fill that sort of gray area, and that's what it goes for, right? And so there's so many times where somebody will a quest or something will come in, and somebody will try to get him to be in the middle of some of that stuff, and then his character is like, every single time is like, what? No, this is weird. Leave me alone. And like just walks away. And then that person will be like, what the fuck? And then it'll be like, you know, you get choices to do or whatever. And you're just like, every single time I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, thank God we're back to the other style of writing. Because the Cold Steel stuff, by the end of it, it gets there, and it manages to be better than the Persona stuff that it's trying to emulate. But it's finally back to the same level of quality that all the other games were at, and so it's been good. But yeah, other than that, I don't think that I've played anything. I feel like there was like something. Oh, that's what I want. I have started my rewatch of Boardwalk Empire.
Okay.
I have too, actually. I'm on like episode 9 or 10 of season 1.
Yeah, we've started our rewatch of it because of this game, so that we're here to talk about today. So yeah.
Okay.
That show's still good, dude. Also, shout out to Steve Buscemi acting his motherfucking ass off.
Allie, I know Allie was like, God, it's weird seeing Steve Buscemi as like a leading man. I was like, yeah, he does a good job. You know,
crushes it, man. I shout out to him, dude. Yeah.
Funny.
All right. Well, my week, we got into some KOTOR, some Knights of the Old Republic. We went to Korriban, so we went to the Sith Temple area, having a lot of fun with that.
Man.
The dialogue in that. I have a character in there I call Sith Karen. She's just some blonde lady who thinks she's like the bee's fucking knees, and we're gonna help her out with what she needs, so that way we can totally turn on her and tell her to go fuck herself. So it's been fun because I'm at the Sith area. I'm trying to act a little Sithy so I don't, give away that I might be good or not. So there's a lot of fun decisions we're making in that game. And yeah, just tune in. By the time this episode comes out, we will be back on the Sunday routine. But as of right now, we're just when I can during the week. But all of the episodes will continue to be up on YouTube on Thursdays. But yeah, by the time this comes out, we'll be back on Sundays. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Zoneless Zen Zero, still playing a little bit of that. It's kind of like touching it at the end of the day if I want to. Pulling in some dailies. I found a section, I forget what it's called. I think it's called Rallies. So it's a gameplay type to where none of that screen map that pops out with a bunch of CRTs. It literally kind of puts you in onto what you kind of would think it would be, to where it's a lot of like running around the level, pulling a lever, have trains move out of the way. You kind of go a little further, and you're continuously going through these levels, much bigger levels. So it's that section, like, oh, because this is the kind of thing that I would like to play. Jump in, run around, do a bunch of fucking combat, come out of it, get some, currency and some, Gamby currency. So it's been a lot of fun. Haven't got anybody new yet, but yeah, it's been fun. It's a great looking game. It's a good little time waster if you want to spend 45 minutes or so. But it's still technically within the tutorial area, so it's got a lot of onloading to do as far as like you could do this, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this. And then right now I'm at the story point where it's like you need to get to level 26 on your account before you can continue on the story. I'm like, all right, so now we're gonna do all the little side stuff and kind of get the world building going. But it's actually surprisingly good. I've been enjoying it a lot. And then lastly, as far as games are concerned, Nine Souls, I'm pretty sure I'm at the final boss. So without giving anything away, when you defeat a boss, you kind of get a little bit of backstory in a certain way for each individual boss. You finish them, you go to a certain spot, you get some backstory in there. It's kind of fun. This one had that like end part first with like no story, and then you're kind of going through and finding some story as you're going throughout the level. I almost switched to story mode due to the fact that this game hasn't done this entire time. And Alex, you may know this section. If I tell you the hallway section, do you know what I mean?
Oh, is it where people are coming out of glass?
Yeah, so the game has never done this, but it loses
like the endless hallway.
It loses the UI.
Yeah.
You're not moving the map. The map is like slowly moving. You gotta kind of stay in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And they just start tossing enemies at you, so you can't escape these enemies. Like if I'm at a spot where I'm like, okay, there's a lot of enemies here. I don't want to fuck around. I can jump off, go somewhere else, and try to run past them. As long as there's not a door I need to unlock or something like that. This one is like, no, you're looking at this part of the screen level, and you cannot exit this level. We're gonna go slowly this way, and we're gonna bring guys at you. So I'm doing that.
If
over
you don't
and
kill
over.
them fast enough, they will overrun you real
way
quick.
too many. So I finally got so many times I was playing that section. I got to the end of it. The floor opens up at that section. So I'm getting to it. I see where it drops you down, but it's not opening up the floor. I'm like, fuck. So all I'm doing is there's like 7 people in this section at this point, and I'm like, jump, dash, jump, dash, jump, dash, left and right, just to kind of like bring them all over the left side. Okay, now I'm gonna jump over them, get past them, go over the right side. And I did that for a hot minute because you can't do that early on because they will fucking overwhelm you. But I got to a point where I can finally like, okay, well, I can get past them here. I drop down, and then it finally lets me like pull up the map and everything. And there's not a save point for a long time. And I had a hard enough time with this hallway. So I'm like, if I die here and it makes me do that thing all fucking over again, and I have to go so far and continue doing it, like I'm not gonna be able to do this in, I think it's even called hard mode, but like what I call normal mode, non-story mode. I fall down and I'm like, okay, I want to look up a playthrough real quick just to see like how much of this you have to get to until you get to a save point. And the person I was watching like cut out him dying. So if he dies, they cut out the whole like go back to the beginning, and he just like edit it forward to that point. I'm like, okay, well, let's see what happens. We're here. Let's fucking do it. And I get through, and again, the only time this does this to where the save points or like your little nodes or whatever is not the checkpoint. Thank God. It's like every computer terminal you walk by, that's a checkpoint. That's a checkpoint. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
When
You get the story.
I can handle this. This is something I can do. If this was like, you can't, because up until now, there was no checkpoints outside of like your save points, your campfires, if you will. So I'm sitting there going, there's no campfire in this entire level. I have to get to the end of this level and then hopefully find one right outside of that. But yeah, I did all that. You're essentially not chasing after, but you're trying to find the end boss. And I finally got to that node. So I'm pretty sure I'm right where that boss is at. And I was doing that over the weekend. I'm like, okay, I want to stop here because I actually want to like sit down and like have a night of it to where I can pay attention to the story a little bit more rather than my mom talking to me while we're watching the Olympics kind of thing.
How many health things do you have?
So as far as like health upgrades I've gotten to extend the life bar, I couldn't tell you. But as far as like heals, if you will, I think I got 3 or 4. I don't have a whole heck of a lot.
Okay.
But I've been
Probably
dealing
want
with
to take some time.
That, and
Yeah,
also I'm already past the point where it says you need to do some cleanup because this is like the end game. So I don't think I can go back throughout the levels and continuously go.
Have you made it back to your hub, like your home?
That's
your
where I
apartment
just
thing?
stopped.
And what was going on there?
It doesn't look good.
Okay, then yeah, you're fucked. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
have fun.
no, I know. No, you get to a section, and it's like, hey, before you continue on this point, if you got any cleanup to do, essentially,
Yeah.
I hit that point where it's like, okay, I'm like, do I want to? I'm like, you know what? I've been doing all this with what I got so far. It's fine.
Yeah,
So
you're
I
just you'll be
I'll
fine.
be fine. Worst
You
case
are
scenario,
just-
I can
you
do
are just-
I can do story mode, but like I've gone this far with what I have.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about it.
You're just making yourself like just settle in. You're gonna
No.
have a lot of tries. On
Yeah,
the,
no,
on the final boss.
I've been told many times. So, and me not upgrading my health as much
They are
is gonna be bad.
brutal.
It's gonna be bad. So yeah, well,
Yeah.
I'll see it when I get there.
I 100%ed that game, like 100%ed all the areas.
Sure, yeah. Start
Just because
clearing
I was
areas.
like, I don't know that I'm going to come back to this, whatever. So I just want to do everything. I went into that thing with the max, which is 7,
Yeah.
I believe, and the health all the way up. And remember, I was playing on like normal
Oh,
like, damage.
the
and everything.
walkthrough I was watching to see how far you get, that dude was definitely playing like story, so I was kind of watching him do. I'm like, man, you can take a lot of hits in story mode. And this dude had all the upgrades too. Towards like, I saw him like not finish a boss. I'm like, you couldn't finish all the boss with the story mode and all that health. Preston's over here on hard mode with like 2 heals and can finish these bosses.
All I'm
You're
saying
playing
that
normal, right?
I mean, I think they call
yeah,
it
their story
hard.
and normal.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I'm just saying like, with all that health, when the final boss would take all my health down in 2 hits.
Oh, that's how most
and
of the bosses
half
have
the
been
time,
for me so far.
Half the time they would kill me in the middle of me like smoking on that pipe to get the health
heal,
back up.
yeah.
Like I'd be like, I have to run, and it'd be like smoking on it. And it's like
Gotta find that
dead.
window, yeah, if you have it at all.
So
Yeah, it'll be fun.
you sir are gonna have.
I'll get there.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right there
It'll
though,
be
so I'm ready to finish it. It'll be good.
You are. You are.
Yeah.
You're at the end.
Just gotta finish it before Outlaws. That's it. So, but yeah, that's as far as games. That's it. I did have the little itch to watch something based off of us playing this Mafia game. I'm like, okay, Public Enemies is the one set in the 1930s. Let's watch that, bro. It's all right at the start, but that movie, I don't know if you consider it boring or if there's just not a lot of things going on. I fell asleep at like the 3/4 mark. I went to go watch it to finish it up the next morning. I'm like, I'll watch this tomorrow. I go to watch it the next day, and I accidentally start taking a nap while I'm watching that last fourth. I'm like, okay, we're just not going to finish this movie. We're just not going to do it. Fuck it. That movie's not worth it. I've seen enough. It's nice to get all the nostalgia points of like
And
that
you
era.
finished Madam Web. So
I
there you go.
know, I know, but yes, I just couldn't. I just couldn't, man. It's a
I
fine
finished
movie.
Madam Web. That's because Preston and I have a weird.
We have a sickness.
Right,
We
but
have
I'm
a
saying
sickness.
We do. We
saying
have
that,
sickness.
that movie must be so bad.
I mean, it's not so bad because I'm trying to watch it. It's just for some reason, like it's just I don't know if it's the pacing or whatever it is towards that last section. It's just like it's not doing enough for me to where like my mind starts wandering and I start just kind of dozing off and just not caring. It's also like the way it's shot. It's not the greatest looking one in the world. It does a lot of this like shaky cam shit, which of that era where people like to do like shaky cams. It makes it look more real. But it's got great acting lineup. Johnny Depp. Christian Bale, it's got a lot of really good people in there as far as acting wise. It's just not for me, I don't think so. There's just it, but yeah. Other than that,
No, Boardwalk Empire is right there.
I know.
so.
I definitely thought about watching that too. So it's but yeah, that's it for me.
I say there's some other great movies we didn't talk about the other day, but like Road to Perdition, I think is about that time.
30s,
That's Tom
yeah.
Hanks, Mafia. That's good. Anyway, I have one more thing before we move on. This is more of a question for Christian. So I got into a TV show this past week while I was sitting in the
You wanna
office
ask me
doing
about it?
work. Yeah. Because like I've tried to get into this in the past, and it's a couple different types of media, and it's never really hit. But for some reason, this time it hit.
Mecca.
And on Crunchyroll, I got into Berserk
Okay.
and started like
Fuck yeah.
almost finished it. But I know the manga is huge. Like there's a ton, but the show there's like only 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's because no show has ever done Berserk in its entirety because it never lasts long enough.
Interesting. So that was going to be my question. Like, from what I know of that show, right? You have like the Band of the Hawk and everything, and you have Guts, and then there's the character that has the mask whose name I always forget, Griffith. But so far in this, we're dealing with Casca, but like Griffith hasn't even made an appearance, and I'm in season 2, and there's only 2 seasons. So my question is, if this is starting to hit, do I go to the manga, or is there other media to like tell more of the
No.
story? Because I feel like I'm only getting part of this show.
This is one of the only times that I will say this because
Okay.
I am not typically this person. You just go read it.
Go read it.
There's no substitution.
Okay.
It pisses me off to no end because I think that if you gave Berserk in its entirety, minus because it hasn't, I don't think it's technically been finished yet because Miria's
But
obviously
the creator
he passed.
died. Yeah.
He passed, but before he passed away, his best friend is the only person who knew how he wanted the story to end, and so his best friend said that he would work with all of his understudies to finish it the way that he knows he wanted it to end. And they're basically, the best friend knows what the ending of the story is supposed to be, and his writing team and artists and everything that people have been studying under him are going to help get it to that point, from what I understand. And his best friend is going to be the person to oversee it. It is obviously not ideal, but I think given the circumstances and how Miria basically worked himself to death, it is probably the best case scenario for something like this, right? So it hasn't technically ended yet, but more or less it has. It was on its way to being finished before. I think it was like he had like an aneurysm or like a heart attack or something crazy happened.
Yeah.
It was really sad. But that being said, no version. Either my point was saying that a studio could come in and really just go for it, like get almost all the way there. By the time they got to the end, it would be finished and they could go and finish the rest of it. If you had a studio that went like the same route that like JoJo went, right, where like it was a studio that cared and said, hey, we are committed to doing the first 6 parts. After that, we can't commit to any more. We don't know. We'll see. But we're committing to doing this, and that's what we're doing. We can't wait to see you guys at the other end of it, blah, 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 blah. If you had a studio who cared to that level to do it, it would be the probably best show that has ever hit, but it's never going to happen. I don't know what it is. I don't know why when these people, like whatever studios, try to take a crack at it, it doesn't work. They can't get it. Mostly my guess is because Berserk at points is so graphic and so dark and really like hard to deal with sometimes that I think they couldn't do it as a syndicated release. You'd have to probably do it in like movies maybe.
So this
and
is
then have them
the
be
one I'm
rated
watching.
R so that people can't, because there's just things that you can't.
I see the one I'm
show.
watching is from 2006,
Yeah.
I believe, but it has like a Universal tag or Paramount tag before it, and there's things that happen in the show, and I'm like, this studio actually signed on to like.
Yeah, and the
do
crazy
American
thing is
stuff,
that
and
it's probably
a great
not
show.
even
There-
close to like it's still
Yeah.
probably not even close to as bad as stuff can get in the books. My point, pick up. You know what? We'll make. I know that Preston already had his ad roll for it, but shout out to Comic Headquarters. That's where I've been getting all of my berserkness. I can actually hold on. I'll grab this.
Big
You
old
have the
thick
omnibus,
books.
right? Yeah.
Black with red writing.
Yeah, so I've been getting the deluxe editions through.
How many are there?
14.
Oh, there's so many. That's
There is,
massive.
but here's the thing, man. Like, this is what we're talking about here. Like, this is the level
of the
of
detail.
art
Yeah.
that we're talking about here. Like, it is. You read it.
So like,
I don't care.
yeah, because like I'm watching it, and like so, I've known about Berserk for
Yep.
years, over a decade, right, or whatever, and like, but I've always seen it in little chunks, and you always see Griffith, and you see Guts, and shit, what's the other one that I was just introduced to? The angel-looking guy, whose name, the really pretty guy, whose name I can't remember. He's like a knight.
That might all. You're also describing Griffith again, so I don't know.
Oh, Griffith without the helmet, maybe, or without.
Could be. Yeah. There's different versions of Griffith
I think
throughout the
yes.
story.
Yes. So I was just introduced to him on the show.
When
but
you're
like,
like
I know
hot blonde guy, I'm like, well, it's also
Yeah.
Griffith.
it is. I only know Griffith from the helmet because like over the years, like that's what you see. That's the iconic image, and of course I know about all the like
After the eclipse, yeah.
yeah, and I know about the eclipse, and I know about like just the kind of the demonic forces that they fight against. Like you see this stuff, but you only see it in chunks. So then I sit down. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try and watch this show, and the show's actually done pretty well. It's well animated, so on. And now all of a sudden, this weird fantasy mix of like medieval knights,
Yeah.
right? Like now that I'm hearing the story in an American version, I'm also not reading it. Like I'm listening to it dubbed. I'm like, okay, the story's starting to make sense. I'm starting to get like the vibe and this medievalness with this dark fantasy starting to work a little bit better, and I get it. But then I'm just like, okay, I'm almost to the end of the second season, which is the only thing this Crunchyroll has, and it's done. And I'm like, everything I've seen, Like the eclipse hasn't even happened yet,
Nope. Yeah.
and I'm just like, but isn't that
To
the
my
main
knowledge,
thing? And like,
don't quote me because I could be wrong. I don't think the eclipse has ever been animated.
the only
It might
thing
have been fan-animated, but I don't know that it's ever been to a show where, because there's
Yeah.
things in the eclipse that I don't know that you can show. So
I mean, there's wild stuff they do, like in the beginning, the first, like with the horse demon thing,
Yup,
and like with
uh-huh.
Casca and stuff. It's just like, I couldn't even believe they signed on. Again, it's a dub, so it was already done in Japanese, and then like
Probably known to be like one of the
Universal
most
Whoever's
popular
came and did
mangas,
the
so
dub.
of course they're going to sign up for it. Yeah, they probably don't
Yeah.
realize what they're signing
know.
up for, but
Right, and maybe that's it. And I'm watching it, but like the biggest thing here is the priest who, like the priest and his little like weird demonic angel things. That's as far as you've kind of gotten the show, and I'm like, well, I know this manga is huge, and like the characters that I've seen, minus Guts and Casca, and this is even a different Casca than what I've seen. Like character wise, she's the same, but mentally she's a little different in what I'm getting in the show than what I've seen other places. I'm like, I don't know how you're going to tie
Because
this
here's
together.
the
And now it
the
makes
problem
sense.
is that
they don't. They just don't
yeah,
finish it.
Yeah, and the problem is that you are getting the story. You have followed it a lot like me, except we had very different reactions. Where you've not stopped trying to grab pieces of Berserk where you could,
Right.
And once I realized what had happened to me, I said, okay, I'm done. I'll wait until it's finished, and then I'm just gonna go through it all. So like, what happened with me was like, so my first experience with Berserk was the Dreamcast game. So somebody made a Dreamcast game called Sword
okay.
of the Berserk.
There's no way that did the manga justice.
No, it's post Eclipse. So
Oh, okay.
there's this character named Casca who is mentally not there and basically like a vegetable. And then there's this dude in sick black armor with a sword the size of a building, and I'm killing demons, and I was like, this game is the coolest. I don't know what's happening here, but it's the coolest thing I've played. And it was unbelievably difficult. And so
Yeah.
it took me maybe a year, not more. I don't know. It was a long time before I could finally fucking finish it. And then when it finishes, it just kind of like ends on this sort of nebulous kind of ending. And I was like, what the fuck? And so of course, I'm right to forum pages. What am I missing? Blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking through things. I'm like, what is this based on? I was like, oh, it's based on this manga called Berserk, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, okay. So, and then it was like, sort of Berserk deals with like a specific sort of area, or like a timeline, like within the manga, blah, blah, blah. And so I was like, oh, okay, so I only got part of the story. And again, remember that this was also around the time where I had not been introduced to like up until that point. If I was given a story, it had a definitive ending. So it's the same around the time where like when Lord of the Rings came out, where I looked at my parents at the end of the movie and was like, what the fuck does this mean? What do you mean this is the ending? And they're like, well, there'll be more movies. And I was like, huh? Like, that's not... No.
Yeah.
We were spent 2.5 hours in this movie theater. What do you mean that there's going to be more? And it just wasn't a thing. And so they were like, well, you just go read the books. And I was like, give me the books right now, because I can't just be not knowing. I have to know what happened, right? So it was similar. It was in that time frame. So then, as I'm doing, and again, this is early internet, right? So I'm looking through, and the first thing I see is the panel page from the Eclipse, and it shows why Casca is all of a sudden mentally not there. And I was like I just was shut, and I was like, oh, okay, click off. And I was like, nope, I don't want to know anymore, because no, I'll wait. It's not done yet, so I'll wait. Because there were so many people that had been waiting, because obviously from the panel that I showed up, the art is incredible. Miria is probably was one of the most gifted manga artists, I think, artists in general, just of our lifetime. What
so
he was able to
detailed.
do in black and white, like with no color, is unbelievable how good it is. And And so I had seen people just basically being like, I'm so mad. There's an arc of this story where all the characters like on a boat and like something is like they're traveling somewhere, and people were basically screaming at the top of their lungs because in real time, like in real world time, these characters had been on this boat for years. Like it was coming out very slowly and all this other stuff. Now, obviously, it's because we know that Mirio was working himself to death trying to do this and he finally he brought in understudies towards the ending of it where he was teaching them how he was drawing and what he was doing so that people could help him finally. But that is a very long, drawn out way to say there is no other way to experience what Berserk is or anything like that than just to read it. Sure. So what I'm doing is I'm collecting all of them and then I'm just going to read them. I might just start because
it's so big.
Well, there's that, but also like I really want to know. Like I really want to know, and so I haven't looked up too much of it because I'm just beyond. I'm too scared of spoilers. But to my knowledge, it has not happened yet. I don't know though. So if there's somebody out there that knows, then cool. Drop the knowledge, but with a yes or no. But I don't think that it has been done yet because I think that we would hear more about it, like. About people being fucking stoked that the ending is finally here or not, right? Like maybe it doesn't go the way they want it to go, but I don't think it has happened yet.
But you don't know if they're actually working on it or not, right? Like, has that been said?
I know they're working on it. No, that's been confirmed. They are working on it.
Got it.
I just don't know if it has finished yet or how they plan on releasing. My assumption will be that there will be a 15th of this that will be the end.
That's massive, dude. How many of those do you have now?
I'm up to 7.
Oh boy.
Or 8. 7 or 8. I think 7.
Boy.
Yeah, and I will have all 14. I'll do it. But I just it's me trying to decide right now whether or not I want to start reading it now, and then just keep ordering the parts from Jake and keep going through it, or just wait till I have all 14 and then binge it. I don't know.
I was going to say, unless you're going to read everything in a matter of a week or so, it might take you that long to get.
Well, you know how I play video games.
That is true. That is true. So, okay.
There's a solid chance that I could treat this the same way, but we'll see.
Well, Jake...
Also, for my mental health, though, that's probably a bad idea.
Jake, yeah. Expect to be hit up. I'm gonna check that out because, like, the show just all of a sudden grabbed me, and I've binged through the TV show. I'm about done with it. I'll probably finish it tomorrow while I'm in the office working. But yeah, now I need to read it because it's going to be super unsatisfying to get to what I think is the end, which is going to be right before the eclipse, and have nothing, like literally nothing, like no closure, no nothing, which is going to be super rough. Yeah,
and the best part will be when you start over. It'll be like right at the beginning of the Golden Age, like that whole area, and so or that whole arc, and so there will be like. You'll be getting so much context added to the things that you saw in the show that you'll be like, oh, yeah, there's just no... Right now, unfortunately, maybe someday we'll get something. I doubt it. But, yeah, right now there's no replacement. You just need to read it.
I would bet you most people just sit down and say, like, we should do this, and the answer every time is, like, we can't. We physically can't show that. Or show this.
I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't be. It would be one of those things that even as somebody who I think Berserk is probably one of the most, weirdly enough, even though I've shielded myself from a bunch, although there's things that have just because of the age we live in that has made its way to me. Mm-hmm. I think Berserk is probably one of the more influential pieces of media that I've ever come across for me, and so. As much as even somebody like me who I would love to see something really take a crack at going for it, there's things that I know of that I'm just like, it's like the Lord of the Rings thing, right? Where the only reason that those movies are as good as they are is because Peter Jackson had to have a lawsuit to allow him to make them the way, because people got in the way that would want to make them worse, right? I think Berserk's the same way. If you truly wanted to give Berserk the justice that it was due, it would take forever, and you'd have to find somebody who's willing to bankroll that and know that there will be a profit on the other side, but up until that point, it's like you're just throwing money into a pit and waiting to hope that the money tree grows.
Yeah, and because of the animation, like the drawing, your team would be massive, or you wouldn't be turning around episodes as quickly as you do because they're so detailed compared to what you get.
And because this story is so important for a lot of people, and what happened with Miria and all this other stuff, you would have to do it panel by panel. Mm-hmm. You'd have to do a Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood style thing where it follows the manga to the letter, because if you don't, you're going to infuriate people. Like, if there's a piece that people feel is important that you missed, you won't recover from that. Yeah. Like, and so you'd have to go that route. Like, I don't see it happening. It just needs to be read.
All right. Well, there was that. I just thought it was interesting. It started popping up on my Instagram feeds and other stuff. Probably about the time you started getting those books for like months now. I've had just random stuff because that's how algorithms work. Mm-hmm. And I was like, let's watch it. So anyway.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Comic Headquarters. If you are looking for a trade paperback or hardcover, the guys over at Comic Headquarters can help. Even if they don't have what you're looking for, they'll offer to order it in for you. Visit comichqstl.com today, where you can contact them and order that trade paperback or hardcover that you've been looking for. Or give them a call at 314-433-5449. Let them know that the testing room sent you, and you can get 10% off your order.
All right, with that, let's dive in to our final part of Mafia Definitive Edition. I don't think this one will take too long. Some of these missions are pretty straightforward and pretty short. Sure. But we were playing through Chapter 16 through Chapter 20. We're going to pick up right where we left off in Chapter 16 with a mission called Creme de la Creme. And this one, so essentially...
Do you guys have any fun crashing issues, by the way, when this game started up?
No, I didn't have any issues this time.
I did. I had a few.
Yep,
but
I had 3.
I had a few, and essentially what I did was I finally got it to load in small box. I went to settings, changed the resolution, came back, and it fixed itself, and I was like, cool.
Oh, if I changed the settings, it would crash on me again. I had to keep it. I played once again in windowed mode because it was the only way that it would work.
Cool.
No, I was able to change the resolution and come back, and it fixed itself on Steam Deck, luckily, but I did have a few, which is so weird. I won't hit the game for that, but man, if it didn't have those issues with this game...
No, that's 2K's fault.
Yeah,
it's 2K's fault. Yeah.
So, if you recall, at the end of the last one, what did we do at the end of the last... I forget what the mission was. Anyway, at the end of the last one, we talked about going to war with Morello, right? Or
we took down
Morello,
Lucky, whatever his name was.
That's what it was, right? And so we essentially said, like, we were about to, by this point, like, we were at all-out war. And that's where we pick up. So after Tommy is saying, like, hey, the war of Mitrello has been going on for a couple of years now, and he's been in hiding, but it's been a street fight, and there's been a lot of stuff going on. We get some cutscenes where it's just, like, gang violence back and forth. But he's finally decided to pop his head up again. And he is going to be down at the theater at a gathering downtown. And essentially we've been told, like, this is our chance. It's our one and only chance to take Mitrello out and end this war and take over the city. So that's what we do. We hop in the car with Sam and Polly, and we head down to the theater. Pretty straightforward, simple little drive. We get down there right as Mitrello is coming out of the church, or out of the theater, and he sees us, and he hops in that car and takes off. Mm-hmm. And essentially, we are in a chase because we know if he gets away, then he is going to, like, go back underground. Who knows for how long? Could be months, could be years before we see him again. So we have to chase him down now. and he has a ton of cops. So this mission was a pretty straightforward mission, where we're just running and gunning, chasing him down. I don't know if it took you guys a couple of tries. This could be a couple of tries. At one point, I was going so fast in my car, a police car slowed down due to rubber banding, and I was like, well, I'm just going to ram it. I rammed it. It shot me into the air, over it, and I landed on the roof. And, like, that was that. I was like, well, clearly I'm restarting. But we chase him down, and we realize, much like with Frank, that he's headed to the airport. So we get to the airport. Mitrello heads to a hangar, and we hop out of the car, and we essentially have to fight our way to the hangar he's in. Simple little gunfight, headshot here, headshot there. We make it to the hangar. We hear that there is a plane on the other side. We open it up. He's made it to the plane. We still can't let him get away, right? So we hop in the car. We're driving down the runway as fast as possible as I think Paulie is driving, and he's like, look, I know you were the best driver to get us here, and you're still the best driver, but unfortunately you're also the best shooter, so you need to hang out the window and shoot the engines of this plane to bring it down before it leaves. And that's what we do. Tommy with his Tommy gun hanging out of the side, just firing bullets. Did this take you more than one try?
No.
To take out the engines? No? Okay. It took me two. Apparently
so,
a bad shot.
Correct. Let me know, because I thought that you were controlling the car and the gun, but I think you're not controlling the car at all, right?
No,
so I'm
just the
sitting
gun.
here trying to like also angle the car, thinking that I'm controlling it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I got tripped up a little bit, but I think I got that last engine at the last fucking second I could.
I failed it once for taking too long.
Yeah.
So I thought you had to like really shoot the engine. You could be a little off and shoot the back
Sure.
of the wing and whatnot. But the second time I got it the last second. So you shoot the engines, you think, cool, it's going to crash. It does not. It's just enough to hover for a long time. And essentially we realize, like, hey, it's not going to crash on the runway. It's going to crash somewhere else in the city. So we take off out of the airport, and we have to follow this crashing plane.
So cool
with
looking
its
the entire
flames.
time. I love this little set piece. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Real quick, during this set piece, I'm trying to chase it down. Kind of like you're looking up in the sky, and you're kind of like trying to keep track of traffic. I had a car spawn into the wires above the railing of the trains. So I'll put it down here, but I get this car just like sticking like diagonally in the sky above the other cars. And of course, wouldn't you know, as soon as I'm about to come up on it, 'cause I'm like, okay, well, let's go underneath it. Motherfucker drops as soon as you get close enough to it. So I'm like, rah, like turn it off to the left and shit. It was a very funny, weird situation, but yeah.
Amazing. So we do chase it, and it lands on this little farm right outside of town. So we get there, and it has crashed. And when we pull up, this was brutal. So we pull up. Mitrello is not in good shape. Like, he is burned. He is bleeding.
Oh, I forgot about his fucking name that we gave him.
Yeah, it's Mitt Romney. So Mitrello. So he's bleeding, and he's not doing good. And I forget. I don't know if it was Tommy, but somebody makes a comment. They're like, he's dead. He doesn't even know it yet. Tommy walks over with his Tommy gun still in hand and just unloads on Morello there, and just goes, well, he sure knows it now. And that's it. That's the end of chapter 16. It was super straightforward. It was brutal. It wasn't graphic or anything. This game does a really good job at like balancing what it needs to do by like not necessarily showing close-ups or anything. So it's not like terribly graphic. But just the story it's telling was pretty brutal. And that's the end of the chapter. There's also an intermission here, which I forgot to take notes on. So if anybody needs to add anything about the intermission, just feel free. But
the only thing that happens in the intermission is that when the officer finds out that you're the one who killed Morello, he's like, you fucking phantom. Like, I've been
Detective
chasing
Norman.
you.
Yeah,
I've been chasing you for 3 years. He goes, you know that I could take you right now
enough to
with
put you
everything
away
that you've
forever,
given me.
yeah.
I have enough to put you away for life. And then Tommy's like, you don't want me, the guy who's plugging people. You want the guy who's calling the shots.
yeah. So it was a very short intermission, but you're right. That was an interesting one. We'll come back to that towards the end too. So, chapter 17, election campaign. So with Mitrello gone, Salieri is running the town, right? Like, we're doing pretty well. However, there's a politician that's been a thorn in our side. I think this guy was running for mayor, but he's been a problem because he's running on this campaign of like cleaning up the streets, getting rid of the organized crime, cracking down on some of that stuff. Essentially, he's given us the business, and Salieri is not happy. So what is the answer?
Gotta go.
My man's got to die, right? So this one's also pretty. This one's also pretty straightforward. So we go and meet Vinny. Vinny tells us what's going to happen. Vinny says, "Hey, essentially, he's going to be giving a campaign speech out at this like on the riverfront. We don't really have a great way to get to him, but lucky for us, there is an old prison across the way. So we're going to head over to the prison. You're going to get a gun. You're going to climb up to the sentry point or the security guard's tower. You're going to take the shot across the water, and then you're going to be gone before anything happens. Pretty simple. Until we get to the prison. And we realize this prison isn't just run down, but it has been overrun by hobos. And they are, to varying degrees, they are not happy we are here because they think we are here to run them out and like clean up this prison, which to me, it leads to a couple things. Like at first we kind of have to like sneak around. We meet one guy is like, "Hey, I made these little green circles along the wall, so just follow the circles. It'll take you to where the gun is stashed. It'll take you to the tower, but just watch out for the people because some are not happy with you." And so like you're walking through the sewers of the prison, you're walking through the prison proper, and like you have to watch out for people because if you get too close, like they will try and fight you. And this all to me just seemed like a simple problem of like not just saying, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm not here to run you out of this place. Please just leave me alone."
There's definitely moments at this point where you're like, all you have to do is say anything.
Yeah. Like
if you say anything, this goes away. Like they're like, "You fucking fad, blah blah." It's like literally a gangbanger. Like I don't.
There was one funny moment. So I'm walking around at one point. I get punched by a hobo out of nowhere, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. Like he's mad that I'm here, so I gotta knock him out." Right? I didn't kill him. I just knocked him out. But there was another guy, like an older guy, sitting by a tent in a chair, and like with like a fire going on beside him. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Like, I'm not leaving. This is my house." And I'm like, "I don't want to fight you, but like, I'm just gonna end this.
Don't care.
So I run over and I just punch him, and he falls out of his chair. And he's like, "Hey!" And I'm like, "Oh, apparently he wasn't like one of the aggressive ones." So I just punched this old dude in the face for no reason. Like, anyway, going back about my business. My bad, dude. They did a great job with the design of the prison.
Open
and, like,
air
the
prison?
way it was broken down. Yeah, open air prison, and like the sewer stuff. They did a great
Building
job
is half
with it.
there.
So anyway, it was very torn down, or very dilapidated. So we eventually follow the circles till we get to the watchtower, and stashed up at that watchtower is a rifle. And they say you have one shot. Like that's it. You have one shot, one kill, call it done. And that's exactly what happens. We take the shot. We end that election campaign. However, a cop says, like we hear over a little radio thing, like, "Hey, it came from the prison, so now we need to get out." But remember, this place is really dilapidated. So we take off. We're leaving the watchtower. What happens? The floor falls through, and we tumble down the floor and end up at the bottom of this watchtower. And
Take a little nippy nap.
yeah, the screen goes black for a second. We wake up and we have no idea how long we've been out. I doubt we've been out that long, maybe a couple of minutes, but it has been...
I would say like at least 10 maybe.
Yeah, it's been long enough for police to actually make it to the prison, right? Naturally.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to fight our way out. Real simple. Just fight our way out. And I don't know about you guys. I took out a couple of cops and then was just like, I'm just going to run for the entrance.
To a certain point,
and that's what
yeah,
I did.
Yeah.
I just ran for the entrance, and you get to the car, and then you escape the police. I don't know about you all. It took me no time to escape these police. I think this was the one where it was the red circle, right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the red circle where they had roadblocks, or was that the next
Yeah.
one?
Yeah, this is one.
Yeah.
No, No,
That's
that's
the next
mission.
mission.
One.
This was just the red. This is just the red circle. As soon as you drive out of it, you're out of it. So
And they're chasing you the entire time.
I left that place and then like came across two things. I came across a little like courtyard in front of a church, and instead of taking the road, I just cut across the courtyard, and then I saw another like little fountain and went across the fountain and just skipped the like actual turns you needed to make both times, and the AI was not smart enough to do it, and I got outside of the circle and they're like, "Oh boys, we lost him." I'm like, sweet. So we drive home. When we get home, Sarah's there. She makes a little comment about like, "Hey, did you see this happened? Right? Somebody was shot." And we're just like, crazy the way the world
And
works.
she's like, she goes on to say about this guy was the one that passed was a part of the getting the women the right to vote and that whole thing. And she's like, well, and then Tommy's just like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, we're still not talking. Okay, she
makes a comment about like people having multitudes, right? Like not everybody being so like black and white, like some gray. Like yeah, he's trying to shut down the mafia, but he passed women's suffrage, and he was like there to fight and like gave her the right to vote. I'm in a weird spot with their relationship, right? Like, and this is true for every mafia medium, movie, book, doesn't matter. This woman's dad is a key piece in this organization. Like, he runs the bar. It's the headquarters. Like, you've been around it all of your life, and they've even made comments to you of like, "Oh, Sarah's been around forever. She probably knows where all the bodies are buried. She's tough as nails," and so on. So like, it's this weird thing you try and play off of. Like, now all of a sudden she's moral and like everything you're doing is reprehensible to her, and she's upset about it. But like, you were part of it and living it. You know what's going on. So it's always weird when they try and do this in mafia stuff.
I think the other part of it is that like when she was going through it, it wasn't nearly as violent as it is now. Like,
right,
Salieri was lower on the totem pole, and so they weren't doing the sort of things that but that were being done around that time. My other problem with it is that like we keep cutting back to these intermissions where Tommy is talking to the detective about, all I care about is my wife and daughter. It's all I care about. It's all I care about. It's all I care about. But Sarah's in this for 10 minutes total. Yeah. If I were to condense all of her time in the game, it's probably 15 minutes maybe. And so
it's the walk home and like 2 times of you coming home with her there, and that's about all you get out of her.
Yeah, and it's just like quick little snips, and that's it. And so like for me, it's just kind of hard to be like, when he's talking about how big of a impact, like, and they even, Paulie and Sam will sometimes make comments about being like, oh, dude, Sarah's gonna come after you if you don't, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, how would I fucking know? I don't see any of that. I can assume because you've said that, but it still doesn't help that you haven't shown anything.
We've talked about this before. Writing is hard, and when you have a group of non-writers, it can be hard to do something. But like, I look at this just as somebody that like, I enjoy writing. I write for fun. My degree in college is like an emphasis in English and like creative writing, right? So like, I enjoy that stuff. With that being said, I look at this and go, there's a really easy fix here, and it was a small little cutscene, and you could do it, because I know how much you've changed on these cutscenes watching the old game. If after Tommy accidentally killed that one guy's wife, right, in the bomb, if he went home and she's like, because you hung up the phone, right? What happened? If you're like, things went bad, she's like, what do you mean? It's like, it's supposed to be.
And he explains it.
It's supposed to be him, and we killed her. And he's like, it's okay though. Like, it's his fault. He wasn't there, but we tracked him down and we got him. Like, I made it right. And if she was simply like, you didn't make it right, regardless if he was there or not, like, you did this. If that was the turning point, and he could spin however he wanted. Well, no, like, Salieri told me to do it. This is better.
It could have been a fight, an argument between the two. Yeah,
it didn't need to be long, but like, if that was the turning point where you came home and said things went wrong, and she said, doesn't matter how things went, this was your decision, that's all you had to do. And it would have made sense for anything coming later. And you could have easily done that because you've changed other cutscenes.
Telling stories is hard, man.
Telling stories is really hard. So anyway, which leads us to chapter 18. The nice thing about these last few chapters is they are really
the
straightforward.
one thing I want to say about this mission that killed was, I don't know about you, I died a lot. Because so what happened to me was, and I had mentioned this before, with some of the technical foibles that was going on with the game, my Xbox controller was desyncing a lot, and so I would lose control. And so there would be times where maybe I'm trying to break into a car so I can start driving away from the prison. The controller loses sync, and 7 officers just unload on me while I'm sitting in a car and I can't move.
You can't take
Yeah.
a lot of shots either.
You also start to driving, and maybe your car starts taking a bunch of shots, and then they pop a bunch of your tires. Well, now my car's going slow, and so they just start ramming into me and throwing me into walls, and then I die again. So it took me, finally I found like the perfect angle to hold the controller at where nothing would happen, and I was able to get through it that time. But yeah, there was multiple times that I died, and I was like, ooh. Someone's getting a letter after that I finished this game.
I've had funny moments in this game where, like, if you don't play, like, if you run up to somebody, they're boxing you, right? They're fighting you and punching you. If you don't play the game right, where it's like hit the block button and push them aside, this game has this weird timing where Tommy is just slow enough to never get a punch off.
Yeah,
And dude, I had that guy I was talking about earlier in this that like punched me from the side. I was like, oh god, come on! So I turn around and I go to punch him. As I cock back, I get hit again, and I'm like, all right. So I'm mashing the punch button. I cock back and hit again. I'm just like, why? I'm just like, leave me alone. I remember like, oh, just hit the block button. You move him to the side. Now I have free shots. But I was going crazy.
And this old man instead is like, hold this mix up real quick.
It was just he's perfectly timed just to punch me right before I could ever hit him back. So
Yeah.
goofy. Chapter 18 is called Just for Relaxation, and we're told by Salieri. This is where things actually, in my opinion, start to really take a turn and get pretty good. So, Don Salieri says, hey, there's a truckload of cigars coming into the city, and I want them because, like, I forget, I think they were Colombian cigars, but they're like, people will pay big money for Colombian cigars. We get those cigars, we can take them to the gentleman's club, and, like, people are going to love that. And Tommy is like, I mean, sure, boss, but, like, it's a pretty small time for what we do. And, like, said those words. He's like, this is awfully small time for us. Like, can't you just send...
And you see there's Paulie's like
Yeah.
yes, like he's like, oh my god.
Yeah, because it was very blunt, and Salieri is like, Tommy, you are always the smart one. Like, yes, you're right. This is small time, but the reason I'm sending you is because it's not actually the cigars that we want. That's just a bonus. What we really want are some diamonds hidden inside of these cigar boxes. And even still, we're like, all right, it's still a little weird. Like, I still feel like anybody could go do this. But we have to go down to the warehouse, the import warehouse where the truck is being held. We have to get in, steal the truck with the cigars and diamonds, and bring it back. Easy peasy. We take Paulie and Sam. We head down there. They have 2 import outfits. They're like, hey, we're going to wear these. We're going to wait for you outside so we look legit. Unfortunately, we only have 2, not 3. So you just have to stealth your way in. And this is like our really only stealth section of the game. I actually didn't have too much trouble with it. I don't know about you guys. You could beat people up as long as gunshots didn't go off. So it was fine. And you get in, you move around, you can find clues. They say, hey, it's in section D2. You make your way to the warehouse. Once you get inside, you go like to 2 different sections. You make your way to D2, and you just start searching for boxes. I luckily came down the stairs from the top level in section D2. Like, instead of going down to the beginning and working my way around.
Which you can't. I think it's how you're supposed to do it.
Is it? I went around the whole top and like came down the stairs, and that's where I needed to be. So I thought this was pretty easy. So once we get the cigars, open it up. Perfect. We open the garage, and that's where Sam and Polly are. And we haul the boxes in. And then we just have to drive and leave and avoid the police because the alarm just happens to go off right as we're heading out, right? This one, was made complicated only by the fact that the police set up roadblocks everywhere. But they warn you. You see them on the map, and they warn you, like, hey, police up ahead. So you just drive around until you find the path out. It was very simple. The cops aren't really driving after you. You just avoid the roadblocks and head out. Where this mission gets interesting is, the police at one point did see us and shoot at us. And we pull up to our warehouse. We run to the back. Paulie, we ask him if he's okay. He's like, yep, I wasn't shot, but the boxes took some damage. Paulie reached over. He's like, let's check out these diamonds. He grabs something folded up, and he's like, this is not diamonds. This is dope. And Paulie is pissed. And
Furious.
everybody's
Yeah,
pissed.
everybody's mad,
But Paulie is real pissed for a few reasons. Because if we recall, there were only a few rules that Don Salieri had. We don't use curse words, right? One of them is we don't peddle dope. That is for Morello. That's for other people. We don't peddle dope. And now all of a sudden we're doing that. Now, on top of that, the reason they're pissed is because it's enough. They say dope. I intended that as marijuana, but then later they call it black tar, so it had to have been opium.
It was heroin.
Was it heroin? Or yeah.
Because they called it smack.
Yeah,
Oh, did they?
heroin.
And they also called it black tar, so that makes sense too. Yeah, shows you how up I am on street drugs. So it is.
Shout out to all the gangland I watched as a child.
Yeah, so it is heroin, and it's enough that I think even Sam is like, it's enough to put us away for life. Like, that would be it for us. If we got caught with this stuff, like, we're done for. This isn't just simple diamonds. We're not just simply, like, ripping people off for cigars. Like, this is way worse than that. Salieri is pulling up, and Sam, as smart as he is, says, everybody shut the hell up. If the Don wanted us to know what was in here, he would have told us, and he didn't. So nobody says a word. And we don't. Paulie shuts his mouth, doesn't say anything. We get the boxes. The Don pops out and says, hey, these other two Joes I brought with me, they're going to take the stuff where it needs to go, which we clearly, now that we know, is like, that's odd. And he says, Sam, drive me home, or drive me to the bar. And then he looks at us, and Tommy's like, hey, I'm going to take the train home with Paulie. We're going to go. Sam hops in the car. So again, on this walk over to the train, Paulie is pissed. And he straight up says, like, this is it. Like, this is the last straw. I'm robbing that bank. Remember what we talked about last time?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going on my own. I'm robbing that bank. And Tommy is like, well, how safe is this plan?
Well, he says, how much do you think you're going to get?
How much do you think you're going to get? Paulie laughs, and he's like, you're in already. I knew it. I knew you were in. We get to the train, and there was actually, like, a pretty good scene with Paulie here, I thought. So Paulie gets real for a second. He's like, look, man, like, I'm not about this. Like, I want out of this life. I'm almost 40 years old, or maybe he says I am 40 years old. I'm single. He's like, I want a wife. I want kids. Like, maybe I'll even open my own little, like, pizzeria somewhere. But he's like, I'm so sick of this life where we sit around for 6 months not doing anything. And then the next thing you know, I'm fighting for my life, like, trying not to shit my pants. Like, I'm out of this game.
Yeah.
And I just go between, like, chilling out, blowing money, seeing horrors, to all of a sudden, like, I might die tomorrow. And, that was part of it.
That's what he says. Hey, you're not wrong.
He's like, so I'm just sick of, like, being in shootouts is just too much to handle. He's like, I'm stressed. I can't sleep. Clearly there's some anxiety going on here. And Tommy does make the comment. He's like, look, man, you're not built for the family life. Like, even if you meet a girl, like, what would you do? And that's what he says. Like,
You said, well, you'd probably kill yourself from the boredom after 6 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Paulie says, I'm at the point where I'm ready to plug myself right now.
Right now. So it was a great scene.
Or punch my own ticket right now.
It was well done. It was a good bit of insight to a character that, like, they've been playing with this whole game. And it does show that, like, out of the three of them, Sam, Paulie, and Tommy have a good bond. But really, like, Paulie and Tommy are besties. And I think Tommy is what keeps Paulie on the rails. So
Yeah.
it's good. But he says, hey, if we rob this bank, it's enough to get out. It's enough to be done. And that's that. So the next quest, the next mission is side job. And that's what we're doing. We're going to go with Tommy, or we're going to go with Paulie, and we're going to rob this bank.
It's the
Play
best
it
mission in the game.
Very good.
It was very good. So this is really, like, we jump right into it. The plan is simple. We're going to go in. We're going to lock down the lobby. Paulie's going to hold the lobby down. We're going to get the manager and go down to the vault. Paulie makes a great comment. He says, "Hey, if you hear shooting, don't come up. It's either the money or nothing. Like that is it. Like we're either going out or we're getting our money." So Paulie walks in. He rocks the security guard, fires some shots.
Smacks the shit out of him.
He does. We head up and find the manager, and we say, "Let's go down." And he said, all the way down, like, "Hey, how many guards are down here in the vault?" The manager says, "1 guard." He's like, "All right, we get down there. Don't try anything funny. Simple. What do we find? Not 1 guard, but 3 guards." And instead of the manager doing what he's told and saying, "Put your guns down, nobody gets hurt," they just start firing. So unfortunately, we have to take out 3 guards. And then we have to go get the keys from the manager who ran into the other side of a cell. And let me ask you, he says, "Hey, don't kill me. The keys are there on the table." Like, what did you all do here? Did you just grab the keys and go get the money and open the vault? Did you knock out the manager? What'd you do?
No, I just took the keys and went to the vault.
Yeah.
You shot the manager.
He got shot.
Yeah.
Look, man. Yeah, I'm RP in this game. Tommy was pissed. Tommy was coming in real easy. He got shot at. You lied to me. It was good faith, and you broke the good faith. So.
Well, dude, I don't think that was the way I took it was not the manager's fault. It was that security guard just shot at you. Like there was no.
He said there was 1 downstairs and there were 3. So he lied.
Yeah, I guess that he did lie. That's fair.
He lied.
Yeah.
It was,
I don't know if it's death worthy, but hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
You know what? So anyway, we go back and Paulie comes down and he says, "The police are coming. We only had about 5 minutes. They're here. I'm gonna grab the money. You hold everybody off." Simple. Shoot our way out, right? As this game is wont to do. So we fight our way out. We hop in the police car we hop in a car. I stole a police car for funsies because I haven't done that in this game.
I
I actually also.
Yeah,
I
I did
also.
too.
also
Okay.
stole a police
It's time for
car.
police car fun.
There-
It's right there.
there
It's
we
just
go.
waiting for me. No one's in it, so I might as well.
Thank you.
The best part is that after you escape the cops in this and then you drive away, you can drive by other cops in that police car and they're like, "Hey," like they just don't even.
Yeah, sometimes. So if you're like me, which by the way, this police car is fast.
Yeah.
But if you're like me, I hop in the police car and peel out, take a right, except you're kind of under the bridge, and I hit one of those like metal pillars and get stuck. So they are just lighting my car up before. I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
back
No,
up.
what I mean is after you've already escaped, like you lose the stars and everything is good and you're just able to drive
Yeah.
like to the hideout. You can drive by cops that
So
are
that
on
it-
a regular patrol.
That didn't happen for me. My tires were busted, and my front fender was off. By the time I lost everybody, I had like a minuscule bit of health, and I lost everybody. So I drive over the bridge, and they're like, "Hey, let's head to Sam's club." And we're like,
Yeah.
"Have you told Sam?" And they're like, "No. What Sam doesn't know doesn't hurt him." So I'm like, "Sweet." So I'm cruising, and a cop passes me, and all of a sudden I hear, "Stolen cop car, seen on blah blah blah." And I was like, "Well, shit." So I had
That's
to,
funny. Yeah, no,
I had to
maybe-
lose it
maybe-
again.
I just saw the badge, so maybe he wasn't. It was a foot officer, but he was on patrol. Maybe he just wasn't looking the right way. But I blow right by him.
I was I passed a police car, so that might have
Yeah.
been a difference.
Well, maybe he just wasn't looking at me, and
Yeah.
I just looked at the mini map and saw it wrong. But yeah, I blew right by him, and he didn't say anything, and I was like, "Good day, officer." Like I just like, so funny. Okay.
So we get to the Palmero Club. That's the one run by Sam, and that's what it is. Like, hey, we're gonna stash it here. What Sam doesn't know won't hurt him. No big deal. Paulie's like, I'm gonna go home. Tommy, same thing. I'm gonna go home. We'll convene tomorrow. I'll come and get my money from you, Paulie. It's like, cool.
Yeah.
Job done. Simple and easy. We got a ton of cash. Chapter 20 called Death of Art. So we head over to Paulie's in the morning to get our stuff. And the first thing I hear when I get out of the car...
This
is
final mission, by the way.
Final mission. I hear 2 people sitting outside. They're chatting. They're like, man, that weirdo upstairs making a ton of ruckus. and a ton
Yeah,
of noise."
I knew right then.
Yep. And we're like, it is not going to be good. So as you keep going up, you hear other people talking. They're like, yeah, it sounded like maybe there was gunshots. They're like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe somebody should go up and check on them or whatever. So now...
Well, I guess I'm just gonna call the cops.
Yeah, one said, yeah, I'm going to call it up. So it is not good. We get to Paulie's apartment. The door is open. We open the door. We walk in. What do? Paulie dead on the floor. He's
And
been
to be
shot
fair,
twice
so
in the
and
head.
really this mission opens with you talking with Sarah and being like, hey, why don't you, me, and the kid, like, we go to the shore today. Like, we go to the ocean, hang out, go to the beach, and, just take some time off. She's like, don't you have to work? And he's like, yeah, fuck that. I don't have to work today. It's all right. I got some time off. We can go do this. She's like, oh, are you serious? And he's like, yeah, I just got to run by Paulie's really quick, go grab some money, do this stuff, and then we'll be good to go. And she's like, what's Paulie got you wrapped up into? And he's like, nothing. Everything's fucking fine. Just stop with all the questions, the yapping. I don't need it. She's like, well,
it's 1920s. You might catch the backside of his hand.
Yeah, and she's like, well, if Paulie's got you wrapped up in something, then if he got you excited about something, then that means I should probably have cause to be worried. So let's, we'll see. And then obviously she was right, but.
Yeah, so Paulie is dead on the floor. He had 2 shots to the forehead. And Tommy is naturally very upset. He runs around to the window. He looks outside. Doesn't see anybody outside. He's freaking out. He doesn't know what to do. And then the phone rings. And he's like, he has that moment where, like, I don't know if I should answer it. If I'm going to answer it, somebody's clearly watching. Like, how do they know? And he's like, oh, maybe nobody's watching. I will answer it. And it's Sam. And Sam sounds upset. He's like, Tommy's like, hey, what's, Sam says, where's Paulie? And Tommy's like, Paulie's dead, man. He's on the floor, 2 to the forehead. And Sam's like, man, I owe you guys my life 3 times over. I was calling to warn Paulie.
Don's pissed.
Don's pissed. He found out about the bank job. Like, he's pissed. You got to get out of there. And Tommy's like, well, I don't have any money on me. Like, can I come over to you and get some money? Like, if I just have some money, it'll help me get out of town. And Sam's like, look, you can come over here. And we say, Sam, thank you, like you're saving our life. And he says, look, Tommy, one thing about me, I always pay my debts. And I'm like, that was a weird thing to say. You couldn't have just said, no problem, fam. You said I always pay my debts. So we head over to meet Sam at a neutral location in a museum, so it'd be quick and easy, like we're not going to his place, right? And we walk inside, and as soon as we walk in, 2 dudes ambush us with a guns to our head, essentially don't move sort of thing, right? And as we're in the lobby of this museum, Sam starts talking. We look up, and Sam is sitting on the ledge at the top. And he's like, look, Tommy, you and Paulie messed up, right? You went around the dawn. Like, you did your own thing. You shouldn't have gone out on your own. And when Tommy makes a comment to Sam of like, I get what you're saying here. Why do you seem happy about this? Like, you don't seem upset about us going out on our own. You don't seem mad at me. You don't seem upset about the fact your friend too is like dead. Sam says, I mean, why should I not be happy? I'm moving up in the world with the Dawn. I found a ton of money, right? He holds up some money. It's like, I found a ton of money. Why would I be mad?
And he's like, by the way, here's your share, and then throws it.
And we realize, like, clearly he's the one that
killed
Paulie. He killed Paulie, and he says, you did all of this over what? He's like, Tommy, the Dawn loved you, right? Like, you were a smart guy. You were the guy. Like, and you did it for what? This? And he just throws that money over the edge, and it all falls down. Like, that's your share. Like, why would you do this? So, we know this is not going well, and we're not in a good spot. And Sam is like, look, I'm going. Boys, take care of him. He says, but do it quick. He's my buddy. Which was just like a knife right in the side, right? Like, that was a little too unnecessary. So he walks off, and right before one guy pulls the trigger, grab the gun, knock it out of his hand.
John Wicks his ass.
Yeah, and because of our now 20 missions of target practice, I popped both of these guys, like, headshot, bang. No problem.
Yeah, and then it's the shooting gallery all the way up to the top.
And boy, is it a shooting gallery. It is room after room, hallway after hallway of us chasing down Sam as he's running around throwing fodder at us, if you will. And when I say fodder, like, these guys are running. They come in. As soon as they come through doors, it's just like pop, 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 pop. Thank you very much.
And Sam's making comments where he's like, I've got so many more people. He's like, one thing about the drug game is that it means that I can hire a bunch of stupid muscles, so go get them. And they all start running after you. Like, it's...
Which was also a great touch, too, because now you realize, like, Sam was voluntarily in the dope conversation, right? He's been making decisions with the Dawn and manipulating us for a while now. And we do know, like, there's been plenty of missions where we've been with Polly, and Sam has been with the Dawn doing other stuff. So clearly, like, it's all come together, right? So we have a couple of fights kind of just with Sam, which are little pepper, like you pepper him once and he runs off. But eventually you get him once and it goes to a cutscene. Shoot him in the stomach, he falls over at the top of the...
I shot him in the head, but...
I also shot him in the head, but the cutscene has you shoot him in the stomach.
And before that,
So,
there's a section that kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's kind of like a loop. And you can see them from one side. There's a bunch of little windows around.
Yeah.
The first window I got to, it got to a point where Sam's not moving. So I unload every single bullet I can into him. I'm like, oh, well, apparently we can't kill him here. So let's reload the checkpoint real quick so I can have all my fucking ammo back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna do this easy. I'm gonna get him before I'm supposed to. I'm like, no, they're just gonna make him invincible the entire time. I put down Immortal Sam as I'm trying to fucking kill him with all my ammo.
There's two places you can shoot him. One, he comes around a corner in a hallway and he fires some shots. You can shoot him once there, and then he runs off again. And that's, I think, right before that circular room. And then again at the end, because you graze him, like you talk about it,
Sure.
like, oh, I've been grazing the arm or whatever, and so you shoot him in the stomach, and you guys essentially start talking, and Sam doesn't have a whole lot to say. He's like, he reminisces about the good old days, I guess, trying to get you to not kill him, right? And he's just like again reiterates, and this might even be where he says, like, the Dawn loved you, right? Like, this is all on you, sort of thing.
Well, there's also the main thing that he tries to do is, Tommy's hand is shaking, and he's like,
you can't do it. You got to wipe
he's
it.
like, you still can't do it. Blah blah. You're soft. Blah, blah. And again, it made me just as mad this time as it did the other time, because Tommy killed 50,000 people to get to this point.
Yeah.
So the idea that he's somehow having a heart is just so stupid. But
he's like, you hear a kid's voice in the back of your head saying, "Don't do it."
Yeah, then he says something about Paulie. He's like, oh, hey, remember that time you, me, and Paulie? And then Tommy, bow, 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 bow.
Bang,
Shoots him
right?
like 7 times.
He shot him 4, but yes. He kills him. And that's it. That is the game. That is over. Until we end up back in the cafe. And this is what brought us to Detective Norman. We made the call, and we met him. And Norman... We tell Detective Norman, like, look, man, we're willing to help, like, however we can, but, like, we're in a bad spot. This is why I didn't have money earlier, right? When I said, like, I'm flush full of cash, or I have nothing, whatever. But I'm like, in order to help, you need to get my family, my daughter, my wife, new names, and out of town as far away as possible, like, right now. And Norman's like, whoa, okay, first of all, even if you're ready to help, like, getting that stuff for them could take, like, weeks. Like, that's not a today thing. That's, like, a down-the-road sort of thing.
And Tommy's like, all right, see ya.
Yeah, Tommy's like, I'm gonna leave. He's like, oh, well, hold on. Like, if you're gonna do this, are you willing to, like, sit on the stand and, like, look at Salieri, look at Sam? And Tommy's like, I'm willing to do whatever.
We won't look at Sam. Sam's dead, but...
Well, that's true. But I'm willing to look at whoever I need to, and we will do this. Which brings us to the epilogue. And the epilogue is a great little cutscene that shows us sitting in court, staring down some of these people. It shows Salieri... going to prison, but juxtaposed with this, it shows Tommy being older
At his daughter's wedding.
But Tommy is gray-haired. It's been some years, right?
Little mustache action.
Yep. And same with Sarah. She's a little gray-haired.
Wrinkly.
They're talking at the table at the reception. He's giving this great speech. He's like, look, it's all about family. Every bad decision I made, every good decision I made was all done for family. And he starts reminiscing, is like, it was all because of my family that kept me sane for the 8 years I was alone. So then it shows Tommy in solitary. So, like, we did go to prison for 8 years, right? We served our time. Salieri was in there along with everybody else. And it's like, that's what means everything is just your family and making sure they're safe. After the wedding, because there's only a couple seconds, it shows Tommy at the house, like our cute little like house with white picket fence.
Water in the grass.
Water in the grass. What people did. And a car pulls up behind, and Tommy doesn't even move. Like, he knows. 2 guys get out, and, we kind of stop for a second, and they say, are you Tommy? And you turn around and says, Salieri sends his regards. And it's a double-barrel shotgun right to Tommy's stomach. As he falls over... that's when the whole family runs out. Daughter, son-in-law,
Neighbors,
neighbors, his wife, like everybody runs out, and then Tommy has this great little line where he just looks up and he's like, "It's okay, you're all safe now, right? Like it's over, you're safe."
Yeah.
And that's the end of the game. And I will say, I thought that was good because Tommy was not a good person. I don't think there was any other way this game could have ended, right? Without his like you could have ended it without him dying, but then it feels a little cheap, right? Like he did some bad stuff, he got into trouble, ran to the cops,
will
flipped on
catch up to
everybody,
you
and then he's good,
sooner or
right?
later.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how that works.
Yeah.
So I had a couple things. One, again, I really pissed me off about Tommy's scared to kill some people. It's like, no, he's not.
I shot you to get up
4,000
here.
people.
Yeah, you're shot in the stomach. I already shot you once.
Yeah, but also look at how many people, the corpses I littered to get up here. Like, it's just stupid. But also, the only thing I didn't like about the ending was that the assumption that Tommy, it has been at least 30 years.
Assuming that Salieri is still alive.
It's wild to me that Salieri was still alive. I think that he must have been on his deathbed signing that he needed Tommy to go to somebody. You know, there's something.
I didn't think about that until just now, but you're right. He would have been super old.
Like, and for me, it was just one of those things where I was like, if Salieri was going to give that order from prison, it would have been way sooner than that. And also, he has new identities now, so there would have had to been like a corrupt thing. Like, it would have taken time to like get his identity, do all that other stuff. Like, I don't know.
Like, how does Salieri even have power by this point? Like, you took down the whole organization. His number two if you count me. Number 3, his account. Like, everybody's dead or gone. Which, by the way, this is a side note. We didn't mention this, but Sam was talking. There was a great little point where Sam was talking to us, and he says, "You know, we knew about Frank, that you let Frank the accountant go."
Yeah.
And they're like, "What happened?" He's like, started betting at the tracks wherever he was in another.
He was in Europe. Yeah, he was living in Europe, and he kept his head down.
One of the family members
Salieri's contacts. Yep, saw him,
and they killed him. Tracks. And then he goes, and then the real kicker is like, and we also know about that whore you let go. And we're like, oh, the girl you were sweet on, like the girl you told us to let go, is like, hey man, still your decision. Like, you still.
Well, the other thing is they ask him about. He asked about Frank's family, where he goes, "Well, what about his family?" And then Sam just goes, "I don't. Who knows? It doesn't fucking matter. Probably dead. But that's your problem." Yeah. It was
interesting, but to that point, like, I just feel like there's no way Salieri would have even had power. I mean, he could have hired literally 2 goons.
Maybe, who knows? I mean, maybe he has connections back, that somebody else to the Salieri family. Who gives? I don't know. I'm sure there was a way that they could have explained. It just didn't make any sense to me. That I'm like, he's calling this hit at the weirdest time. Whatever. Who knows? I just thought, I was like, that's a little weird. Again, the thing I will say, out of all this section, that bank robbing mission was my favorite mission. It was the tightest mission, and it was the one. It had like special mechanics where you're like escorting the manager to get down to the vault, do this other thing. There's a lot of chirping that's happening between you, him, the manager, Paulie, like all that stuff.
You hear Paulie upstairs yelling at people, and
yeah. I thought it was very well done. It was one of the missions where I was like, this is great. So, yeah.
I think, I'll just say, like, as a whole, I loved the aesthetic of the game. As a remake, they absolutely nailed it, and it was definitely a remake, right? Like, they did so much different. They turned to a different game. Essentially, they cut out the bloat. Like, I think if you're gonna play Mafia, this is the way it gets.
There's
played,
no reason to go back to that old one ever. Period. Like, even the writing, like it's mostly like the same plot points and like missions, but like the writing is just so much better. So there is absolutely no reason why you'd want to do that. For some reason that you just are curious, but other than that, don't touch it.
I may look like YouTube with the other 2 games, but I actually enjoyed this game enough that I don't think I even want to touch the other 2 games, because I feel like
unless they redo the second one,
I feel like they're not going to capture what they actually did well in this game, right? And I don't want it to like ruin my opinion of this one, because this game was tight. Like, it was a classic it was a classic Mafia story. It was on the level of like The Godfather sort of thing. You could see it ripped right out of one of those. I think it's like Marco Pizzero, whatever the author's name is from the Godfather books. It can be ripped right out of one of his stories. Like it had a lot of tropes, but they were those good classic Mafia tropes.
Yeah.
I liked the turn. Some of it was a little telegraphed, but I still liked the turn. I liked the way it played out. As a whole, I actually really enjoyed this playthrough.
Same.
Simple, easy playthrough.
Yeah,
Well,
I thought it was good.
What would you guys rate it? We have five scale, right? We're doing the
GG scale.
5 star.
GG.
GG.
I would do a flat 3.
I gave it a 3.5. I think with all like knowing how bad the last one, the original one was, and upscaling to
fair
it,
too,
I
yeah.
think it gave me that little bit of extra. Like as far as an overall game, 2K bullshit aside, it causes the crashes and all that. Like it's overall, it's a very straightforward game. It's nothing super pissed me off. My taste aside for the speed of the cars and shit like that. But like other than that, it was overall like the stealthy missions weren't too shitty. The shooting missions weren't too much. Overall, I thought it was a decent game, just slightly above average. So I give it 3.5 out of 5.
I too give it a 3.5. I think what won me over were definitely the set pieces. Anytime you got a cutscene, like
The plane one was fucking phenomenal. I love that one.
The plane was great. The bank robbery one was great.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite cutscene, I think, in the game was at the restaurant.
Yeah, the hit.
Where we get ambushed at the
Yeah.
restaurant. The hit, like, again, it's tropey, but
They did
they
really
nailed
well.
it.
Done really
They
well.
nailed it when it came to
Because you
those
can
tropes,
easily
so-
just do that, like, and just kind of half-ass it. Because you know the trope. You're like, okay, guys, come out of the car, shoot some stuff. But there's so much flavor added to all those scenes that are really great.
Yeah, and the acting was really really good.
Oh,
too.
speaking of acting-
kudos to him.
If you guys want to have a little fun thing, look up the voice actor for Paulie. I looked up the voice actors. All of them are kind of like, just look voice actors. But when you look up the voice actor for Paulie, they used the likeness from the voice actor as Paulie. And I'm like, this is the most cartoonish character out of everyone in here, the voice and everything. And that's the one guy who actually looks like the voice actor.
That's funny.
That is. Oh yeah, no, he does.
He looks identical to
his.
Yeah.
Not only does he look identical, but his headshot is just like him and like a 1920s
Yeah.
get up. Not really.
Well,
It's a
nice
button
suit,
down
yeah.
with. Yeah, it's a button down with suspenders, but he's smoking a cigarette and like. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
And the dude is from Staten Island, New York. So
There
So he
you
probably
go.
knows that
That
accent
is-
very well. That way they talk.
Yeah. I would go flat 3 on it. I think that there were some issues that I had with some of the story. I don't like how Sarah is utilized. I think she's way underutilized.
Oh yeah, she's.
I think the ending's a little. It was weird. And then the parts where they randomly make Tommy, which again is hard. I don't think any game has succeeded at it, but still, it's. I don't think it. That doesn't mean that it's not a problem. But I just like the.
It's a pet peeve of yours.
Yeah, just like trying to make Tommy be scared about killing after I've already killed 70 people to get to the point where he's like,
Beat the shit out of a maid.
It's
Yeah.
just.
again, like there are ways.
Well, okay, Preston, you ran somebody over right
No,
after that. You are not
Go
clear.
back to the podcast. I even zoomed in on it and everything. I did not run her over. She clipped the side of my car as I was slowly trying to get past her, and I just didn't turn hard enough.
Yeah, we'll see how that holds.
goes,
You should do that
"Oh."
outside.
She did not fall
Yeah,
down.
go do that. Go do that in your car and see how that works out for
It'll
you.
be fine.
I get like they wanted to stick to the original, but I'm with you. Like as we said, writing is hard, right? Like if you did that one conversation with Sarah, now all of a sudden that comment of like you can't do it. You didn't even have to say you still can't do it because the sentence "you still can't do it," you hear your wife and daughter's voice in the back of your head versus "you can't do it," you hear your wife. If you would have had a conversation earlier, well, now it makes
Yeah,
sense.
there's
right?
that piece. There's
Like,
also like it doesn't even make sense that Tommy wants out. Like when he goes to do the bank job with Paulie, there's no point up until that moment that makes you feel outside of
drugs.
the
he's
time
just
where-
mad. He's mad about the
drugs,
dope.
yeah.
the thing. But you don't. There's no situation where him and Sarah have had conversations where he feels like maybe he wants to get out or he's getting fed up or anything like that. He loves the life. I mean, when he's in the yes, boss, how you doing? Blah blah blah.
Very
Let's go
good
shake these
fellows.
people
Us.
down.
Yeah. He's all about
Yeah,
the
like he doesn't give a fuck. Like it's so it's just it. Yeah.
Same-
Either way,
same thing,
But
like-
there's a lot of things that I did like about it, which is I think just I
You-
would go 3.
You could have easily, again, changed that too, is if you just gave some inner monologue or looks or comments where Tommy noticed that Sam was getting a little too chummy with Adon, and it was and Tommy and Tommy was turning into the gun for hire, right?
Give him a little side eye when he's getting a little special treatment.
If he just realized he was taking Sam's spot, and now he and Paulie were just the go do this guys, and now all of a sudden Sam was spending too much time with Dawn. Like, now it makes sense. You want out. You see things changing, right? Writing is tough. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. They cleaned up a shitty script, so it was really good. I thought
they
really
did.
Good, yeah.
And I'm sure they took out more than just the two old racist comments that I heard. So I'm sure they did a good job at that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's that. With that, Preston, what do we got coming up?
Next game we are going to play. I had a lot of options, but we got a request in. Friend and listener of the show, Steph, she kind of let us know a couple of games that she thought might be good for it. I kind of gave her our prerequisites, if you will. And she mentioned a couple games, but the one game that kind of stuck out to me that I've heard tales of people just loving the hell out of this game is 2016's Hitman. There's been a lot of Hitman games. I think this was almost like a kind of a reboot of the franchise, done by IO Interactive, published by Square Enix. But this one should be, we're going to do the 2016 release. It's also known as Season 1.
Is this the game after the Timothy Olyphant movie?
So I thought about myself, when I play this first episode, I might want to just just kind of watch the Hitman movie. I know it's going to be horrible, but I like Timothy Olyphant, and I want to see what they do with this character in a movie form. So I'll report back to you on that one next episode. But yeah, it's like it's mostly stealthy, but you're just kind of figuring out ways of how to get your objective done. There's so many variations of that, but it's very episodic. So we are going to play the first episode, which is Paris. This episode has double the amount of playtime I see and how long to beat. So it's ballparking around 2 hours. If you want to, for example, if you want 100% it could take you up to 10 hours. That's the average time for 100%ing it. But that's you probably doing every variation of how to beat that level. But I'm assuming with whatever story and disposition they do with that, it's going to round out to about 2 hours for you. And then from there, we might do 2 episodes each. We'll kind of see how it goes. But yep, play the first episode. That's called Paris on 2016's Hitman. Also have a little subtitle of Enter a World of Assassination. That's for this series. But yeah, they released 2 and 3, which are now called Season 2 and Season 3 of this Hitman series. But we're just playing the 2016, the first drop it had, which is going to be there's 6 episodes in that. With some bonus missions we might do. But either way, first episode, finish it, Paris, and we will do that next week. Possibly.
All right.
Sweet.
That is it. Well, that brings us to the end of Mafia. Look forward to Hitman coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for hanging out with us once again, everybody. We will catch you next week. And with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Yeah.
All these guys in this room, they're here because they have the only thing that matters to me. The only thing that should matter to any of us. You know what that is, Tommy?
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room.
That's right.
To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/thetestingroom or Twitch TV/testingroompod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @testingroompod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.
Welcome to the family.